Hello, Couch Co-opers, Couch Potatoes, and Couch Co-dependents. This is the Couch Co-op Show, and and I have Jarrod and Dave with me here on the couch tonight. The Holy Trinity. What is that? Isn't that like garlic, onions, and what is the Holy Trinity in cooking?
Does that one make us the Son, the Father, and the Holy Spirit?
No, kind of. But what yeah, that's also. But what is the cooking? What's the Holy Trinity in cooking? Hold on a sec. I'm gonna search it.
I don't know.
Garlic, onions, and oil.
No. There's a holy
butter.
So like when they have cooking shows, add the Holy Trinity. I think it's
garlic, onions, and butter.
No, it's not. It's
Cajun
cuisine, Louisiana Creole base for the several preparate. Holy Trinity is. Oh well, that one says garlic, parsley, and shallots.
Huh.
I was going to say garlic's got a big part of it. Anyway.
Yeah, absolutely.
Shallots, onions, parsley's an interesting choice.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Huh.
they're like they say add the Holy Trinity. Anyway, we are the Holy Trinity, baby.
There they go.
How's everybody doing tonight?
Yeah, I'm doing good. It's been a busy weekend.
Busy? What do you get up to, Jarrod? What are you doing?
Girl Scouts?
No, my parents stayed over for a couple of nights. And we hung out and explored Vancouver a bit, and it was nice.
Cool. Did you get some mochi donuts?
No. Just let's see. We ate at Hungry Sasquatch.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Had
some pinball, some pizza and pinball.
Yeah. Well, just pizza. It was a short visit, but we went to a record store. So that was nice. I picked up a couple of albums.
Which one?
Oh, what'd you get?
The 1974 one record, 1904 record, whatever that record place is.
The one by the comic shop?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I picked up the Best of Blondie and the one of the albums of the Electric Light Orchestra.
Should have gone around the one in the corner, just around the over on the. Anyway.
Well, we had antique shops we had to swing by.
It has antiques in there. It has like CDs and tapes, 8-tracks, stereos.
Okay. I probably I looked through all kinds of stuff.
Yeah. Or that one that we went to last time had all the antiques. The one that was downstairs. Was that Rock or Richards?
I didn't go there. We just picked a few places and went to a couple of antique places. And
no P15. What is it? Mustang? What is it? P something Mustang, Dave? P52 Mustang. A mirror photos. Art wall. I'm looking for one. I'm looking for the one that matches Dave's.
Yeah.
Player coming out of the clouds.
And then I'll have the P51 Mustang.
I did graze through some Goodwill art. You know, they have big old box of pictures and frames and stuff like that in there.
Didn't buy any lanterns though?
No, absolutely not.
How about you, Dave? What did you get up to this weekend?
Walking simulator. I did not do much. I just lazed around and worked on the house a little, and I didn't even do that much of that, to be quite honest.
The bathroom's still like in not quite finished mode?
It's down to burst studs in there now, and it's got a big old plastic decontamination door, kind of like ET, you know, where you open it and you go in and there's all dust.
Yeah, that's great.
Good times.
Yeah.
Well, I like the reference.
I didn't do too much. Yesterday, Bryn was away doing some horse stuff, and so the dog and I hung out, and I did like a bunch of cleaning. Like I cleaned out this chest because if you notice, listeners, if you're watching, you'll see that Jarrod has this cool Odyssey box behind him. So I gave him his Odyssey back. He gave it to me a long time ago, but I was like, I don't really use this. And he has more.
This system came out before I was born.
And he's had it.
It came out like late 1978.
You gave me an Atari 2600. I think your parents found it at a garage sale for like $3 with a load of games, didn't they?
Yeah. Well, remember that apartment he lived in, Dave, that you got your car towed?
Mm-hmm.
So when I helped him move out of that place, he had that Odyssey box, and he's like, "Here, you can have this." It's like, "Oh, okay, sure." And
it's crazy because the box is in really good shape.
I know.
It's like a tear in the top that you see at the Y. It's like
that's a price tag.
Sticker.
Yeah. So like he gave me that, and I've held onto it for so long, and I've had it forever. But I've never used it, never hooked it up, never done anything with it. And
the console works.
It's just taking just taking space up in my chest, and I wanted to display all my video games, but I had no place for the Odyssey to be like displayed. It's like, and I don't really care. I have no memories, so I gave it back to Jarrod, and it looks awesome.
It's kind of funny how you ended up with all the old game systems somehow.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like I gave you that Sega Genesis that my coworker gave me with all the games.
Oh, I had it for a while.
Yeah, Jarrod had it for a while.
Yeah.
It went through Jared's hands. I remember
it's
that.
a fun system, and
it is.
It was nice because it was owned by someone who didn't just like sports games.
Oh, it has great collection of games, dude.
It's got
it has
like
a great
really
collection of games.
Collection of games. It's all the ones you'd actually want,
for sure.
Not like NBA 95.
Yeah.
So you can't see it, but I have them all displayed over here. I have all my games displayed now. So I'm very happy. And I was able, so basically what I did this weekend is then like in my other utility room, I was able to like take some stuff that I could, well, I found some shit to get rid of. And then I also like kind of packaged stuff into the chest for storage. And I opened up room in the storage utility for other stuff that Bryn needed room for. So I was kind of shifting around, and like the downstairs is a little different now. So I kind of changed that around. So that's what I was doing. Like kind of getting the whole back downstairs is basically my hangout now, because like Bryn doesn't come down and watch TV because the dog doesn't like being down here, so she's always upstairs. So the downstairs is pretty much my hangout now. So I've kind of
likes window
reconfigured. Yeah, the dog needs to like look out the window. So
it's got a lot of futanari.
No, there's no not yet, Dave. No futanari.
Not yet. Okay,
maybe. I don't know. I mean, definitely no fisting or docking. That's not my thing. But
yeah, once there's enough mods in Starfield, then
the docking will begin.
Talk about that. Yeah.
Fucking Bethesda! Don't get me started, dude. I wanted to finish Far Harbor because I'm back onto Fallout because of the show, and then I got into it like halfway through, and then that was like the 24th or something, and then the 25th that new update dropped, and like when I logged into it, like it's like, no, this game does not work. By the mod, the modding thing said like, oh, these games, and it's like, oh, I have to wait for a script extender, an update to the script extender. So it just pissed me off because I wanted to spend this weekend beating that to say that I beat that.
Yeah,
but
you got yourself all G'd up to play and looking forward to it.
Pretty fucking fucked up. Anyway, that's this weekend.
That's Bethesda.
Good time. That's Bethesda. Jarrod.
Hi.
What happened on this day in gaming history?
Well, there was too many great games released in the last week.
Too many?
Over the years that I just listed, a handful. There's like 7 or 8 that I threw down here. I'll start with today, the 28th.
Yeah.
It's one that appeared at game night in the early days when I joined
Urban Rain.
Pretty often. Gran Turismo A-Spec.
Oh, yeah, baby.
Gran Turismo 3. That was released in Japan.
Dave's favorite.
But it didn't come out till July in the United States.
Dave is so good at this game.
But yeah, we spent a lot of time with that, playing split screen, racing each other, having a ton of fun.
Dave hated
that was
this
probably
game.
one of my favorite ones. Yeah,
Dave
we've talked about GT A-Spec.
Yeah,
plenty.
I really don't like it.
I remember one night, the old bat wife and I were hanging out with you and your wife at your little apartment over there in Tigard, and we were playing Gran Turismo A-Spec, and we were trying to get one of the cars to go super fast. So we were drafting.
We were drafting each other.
Yeah, trying to get like a maximum speed. And I don't know what we spent like all night fucking doing that for some fucking dumbass reason. I don't know. We were probably drunk. Funny. I don't know.
Yeah, probably. I don't know. You can do whatever you want.
Time you'd spend on old games, just
for a game he hated, he did own it.
Yeah, I actually bought it from I think about release time, because I used to come out. I was in the UK for 2 years, and I had an American PlayStation. So when I came across to visit my pre-wife, as she was then, I would have to buy like a game or two to take them back, because that was the only way I could get new games for my PlayStation. So I do have a copy of it.
Here's a fun thing. So here's the actual cover of the game. I bought it the first time, but if you look inside the disc, inside is the greatest hits color, because my fucking bitch ass first wife broke my original copy.
Oh, dang it! Yeah,
snapped it in half. Right. So I have the original box, but I have a greatest hits copy.
But I do like how the logo on that disc, the GT, isn't inked
Oh.
in, so it's just the CD on the disc. I think that's pretty awesome.
So, Jarrod,
I
I
like
did
that
see
shiny.
that. I'm surprised you didn't mention that this was released 9 years ago.
Oh, I haven't
He hasn't finished yet, Dave.
continued.
Okay,
It
okay.
maybe go ahead with yours.
Maybe he
Yeah,
doesn't
what?
have it on his list.
I don't think it may not be, but Carp Fishing Simulator on Steam.
No. But if Super Black Bass is ever on the release list, I will absolutely mention that one, or just Black Bass. But the next one on the 28th, one I
I
played
love
a
a
ton
good
of.
black ass. I mean bass.
Yeah, which I noticed that throughout time of this
all
exact
about that bass.
day, Super Bomberman was released on like 1, 2, and 3 were released in the same
Mhm.
month in Japan. But it didn't come out till September in the US. This is the era back in the late 80s and 90s, a chunk of the 90s where a lot of games came out in Japan first and then had to wait for translation and then they'd come out over here.
Nothing
So we
on
bump into that a lot.
nothing on
But
Nintendo.
yeah, Super Bomberman 2 was one of the first games I wanted to go out and buy a multi-tap for. So I had that for the Super Nintendo, played a lot of Bomberman, Super Bomberman 2 specifically.
Any Atari
So
2600
that
games
came
come out
out
today?
forever ago. What?
Any Atari 2600 games?
Oh, I don't know. But
Not on the list.
JPK, one of his favorite games came out on the 27th in Japan.
What was that?
Majora's Mask, Legend of Zelda.
Yeah.
Back in 2000.
I almost downloaded that ROM yesterday, but it's like, nah, I don't want to play Zelda games.
Yeah.
Sometimes
And
I'll
the
look
game
at,
I'm currently
ahead.
working on came out in Japan in 1990. It's Final Fantasy 3.
I almost downloaded that too.
I'm liking it so far. I haven't had much of a chance to play it lately, but it's really good.
sometimes when we do these lists, I think like it must be certain days of the week, like
Yeah,
that they release
I think
games
so.
in certain countries because there's a lot of Japan on this list. So
Oh, tons of Japan
Yeah.
on this current list. But so you know how our controllers rumble a lot. Back in '97, Star Fox 64 came out with the Rumble
with
Pack.
the Rumble Pack,
That's where Rumble Packs originated, at least in huge abundance. And I loved it. I preferred playing Star Fox 64 with the Rumble Pack. I loved that thing.
Is Star,
You rumble
is
it in
Star
and
Fox
it
64
abundance.
better than OG Star Fox?
Yes,
Oh,
in my opinion.
Should download it then? Okay.
Yeah, totally. I mean, it has the Nintendo logo that'll splash, so you'll probably immediately like, boo, boo.
Well, I downloaded OG Star
when that
Fox.
Nintendo splashes over your face, you'll be like,
No, because I remember liking the OG Star Fox for Super Nintendo, so I downloaded that to play that again. But like, I'd never played Star Fox 64, so I was just curious what that was like.
I loved it with the Rumble Pack. It was awesome. And then I played it without a Rumble Pack for a while. I'm like, nah, I need to put the Rumble Pack back in.
To the internet to legally download.
Yeah, of course, because yeah.
Because I have a
Reason.
copy.
What else
I
have
have
you
a copy right here.
So let's give some Dreamcast love to a game that came out in 2000,
Oh.
Power Stone 2.
Oh,
I loved that game.
yeah.
Ian has that. Yes, he does. We've even played it together.
yeah, that's a fun game. I
Yeah.
always enjoyed that one.
That was a series
do I have
I
it
wish would
legally?
continue in some way.
no, I don't have
That'd
it
be like a
legally,
fun
so-
online, just kind of brawler, kind of weird. I don't know. It had its own thing going on. Never played anything like it since.
No, I always enjoyed playing that game with you guys.
And
I mean,
on the
technically,
26th,
it's like Urban Rain.
yeah,
I mean, without the magical bullshit and the frilly cartooniness.
and the
It's really
Power
just
Stones
it's
and
but it's basically
Yeah.
4-player Urban Rain.
but it was fun with fast characters and
mean, someone could argue
a little
that's
more
also Urban
dynamic
Rain.
battles.
I mean, Urban Rain's pretty dynamic.
Yeah, it is dynamic. Yes, yeah, teaming up on each other. But so Ian's favorite fighting game series launched on the 26th in 1999 for the Nintendo 64. Super Smash Brothers debuted. No,
Debuted.
yeah, that was the
I
first
actually
8
really
characters
liked
showed up
that
on
game.
Smash Brothers. I loved it.
enjoyed
Yeah,
I've actually never played that version of it, but all the other versions I've played, like the Wii version and the Switch version, I just could care less for.
I must admit, I've played the later versions, and the N64 version is the only one I care for.
so I should download
Okay,
that one.
interesting. I haven't played the most recent one that has
I haven't played the most recent one,
characters.
What are you talking about?
The game
You played the
GameCube.
Switch version?
Aaron's?
No, we played it at Scott's when we recorded a
Oh
podcast.
yeah. But that's very small amount. But yeah, I've bought several of them, but not this one. I don't know why, because it has everything, and then some.
Yeah, it has a lot.
But the final game I wanted to put out here came out on the 25th in Japan. One of my favorite NES games, River City Ransom.
I saw
Didn't
that.
come out
yeah.
until 1990 in United States, but I love that game. So that's all I wrote down. Dave,
I don't have that in
do you
my
have any more
collection.
that you wanted to mention?
I had one more because I usually spread my net a little wider and just look like this day in computing history.
Mm-hmm.
And 21 years, so it's old enough to drink now. Apple opened the iTunes store.
Oh dang!
Oh,
that
wow.
long ago?
Yeah,
That's wild.
it's like it's a long time ago, but it also doesn't. I could have swore it opened further away than that. If you know what.
No, but I
mean.
remember that because I was in Seattle.
Yeah.
Like, that was like pre-iTunes. There was like what is that? Real Audio, that Real
Yes.
Audio streaming
Yeah.
service, and they had like radio stations that you could stream live, and then and then Steve Jobs was like, "Oh, well, we got the iMacs, we got this new iTunes coming out," and like,
iTunes was great for a while,
Yeah.
and then I probably haven't used it now in 10 years. But the last time I tried to install it, it was this big bloated piece
Massive.
of software that kind of ran like a steam engine on your
Yeah.
PC.
I have it installed on my PC, but I don't really use it.
Yeah.
Well, you used to have to use it to sync your iPhones to it.
Right.
iPhone or your iPod if you were
Yeah.
doing it, that you
well,
had to have it
on
didn't you?
your PC. You have to have it to transfer files over because it's what helps recognize the iPhone.
Yeah.
Huh.
You don't have to use it to sync anything, but it helps when you plug in your iPhone. The PC recognizes it as an iPhone, and then in Explorer I can easily drag files over, like video files, without.
And if you have to back it up physically instead of through the cloud.
Well, I don't do that because like none of them. I
Exactly.
don't save anything. I don't have any music or anything on my iPhone. I don't use that for anything. I use my iPhone for recording video, like at live concerts.
It's a streaming device,
in
yeah.
4K.
Yeah.
Anything music or anything that just streams to it. Like I don't care about any of that shit. So like I need to transfer files from it, and I hate doing file drop because that's Wi-Fi, and I just plug it in and have faster transfer and be done.
Yeah.
So like I put iTunes on that just so the computer knows it's an iPhone and it's easy to transfer. But that's it. That's the only reason that whatever 200 megabyte fucking program
There's
sits on my
something
computer.
to be said for like wired file transfer.
That's not 100% true. I guess also I can like check to see if the podcast is on iTunes to make sure it's all that. I do check to make sure once in a while that like, oh, we're good.
Quality check.
Things are working.
Description check.
Right. But
all that
anyway,
stuff.
I just thought that was
format.
a little an
that's
interesting
crazy.
one.
Yeah,
Man,
that
I
is.
wish I had bought some fucking back then when I had all this money just sitting in my fucking pocket burning a hole. Man, I should have just sunk like $2,000-$3,000 into fucking Apple stock, dude.
What did you buy
man.
instead? Strippers and blow.
Pretty
Yeah.
much. Fucking wasting my time with fucking Bill Shipley. See how far that got me.
Oh,
Burn him! Burn him! No, anyway. That's a joke. I really respected my time with him, and I love him still to this day. In fact, he just hates me. Anyway, okay.
Now.
What's next? Oh, yeah. So that was this day in gaming history. Thank you, Jarrod and Dave. I thought tonight we just kind of have a little discussion, just a little talk, just a little chit chat about state of the video game industry, what we like about it, what we don't like about it, kind of like what practices, what games, what the climate is, how we feel about it, and just kind of talk shit and talk, or also not talk shit, talk like, oh man, this is really awesome.
Well, before we get into that, I
Dave.
do have a little demo.
Oh, I forgot about the Dave
yes.
demo shit.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Dave.
No, it's all
I'm
right.
not looking at my fucking.
This is gonna be a quick one. So I was scrolling through earlier today, as you do, because I am that child that leaves the homework to the last minute.
Oh, not
Yeah.
always. Sometimes you have a couple done in the bank.
And so I'm scrolling through the store and I'm like looking and I'm like, oh, Dragon's Dogma 2.
Oh,
Oh, not a
okay.
demo, just a character creator, Dave.
Yeah, I didn't read the character creator bit. I looked at it and it's like Dragon's Dogma 2. Oh, I've seen Tony Depp playing that. Oh,
Yeah.
it says there's a demo. I'll download that and see. And so I went through about 3 times creating the character, waiting for the game to start, and I'm like, am I doing something wrong? And it's like, no, this is just a character creator. And I was just, oh man, I was so like frustrated. And
Oh,
Good.
yeah,
It's a
that's
good
nice.
character creator, though.
it
Pretty
is.
fun. It's really well done.
It's
Were-
pretty good. But
Were you
Better-
happy with your character?
He probably didn't care. He probably like making him super quick just to play the game.
well, the first time I went through, I messed a little bit, but the second time I'm like, maybe I'm just pressing, maybe I pressed circle when I should have pressed square or whatever. And so I did this, I probably spent about like 15 minutes
Oh, Dave.
before I realized it was character creator.
The cool thing about the character creator is it lets you design your character and your pawn.
Yes, yeah, I did like that it was.
And then it transfers over to the game so you don't have to do it. You can just
Yeah,
like jump
because
right
I had
in.
like a lion-looking guy, and I thought that who looked kind of cool, and I messed with his creation a bit, and I was just really disappointed when I found out it was just a character
Nothing to
creator.
play.
I'm like,
Dang it.
"Ah, dang.
I mean, I do
You go.
like it. The games do that, so you could do it ahead of the game.
Mhm.
But like, you're right. There should be then a
Why
demo.
it was labeled as a demo? It's like,
Right.
okay, it's a character creator. I understand you get people hyped for your game or whatever.
I think that's just how
yeah.
Sony. That's how they place them.
It
Because even
came out before the game was
Yeah,
available.
but even
so
Saint-
like,
the
yeah, create
Saints-
your character and you can use it in the game when you get it.
But the Saints
that
Row
kind of
thing did
thing.
the same thing. You create your
Yep.
character
Yeah,
before that,
that's
but it was
right.
just a Saints Row creator. I think there's been a few that have done it, and it's just
I
They
was
just-
just
they
a
just
little
place it under
disappointed.
demo.
Because they placed it under demo, and even when you look, it's like character creator and storage, free demo, and I'm just like, Dragon's Dogma is not a game that is
You're gonna play.
is really in my. This is the kind of game where I've downloaded the demo, and if I played it, I might actually like it, but it's not something I would actively seek out. So if there was a demo of it, there is a chance you could have sold me on it, and I found that I actually really liked it. But
I think 100% this is not a Dave game.
oh no, But by the same token, if there had been a demo, I would have at least have played it.
True,
and said,
true.
Like, this is not a Dave game, or there is that 1% chance there. It's like for some reason it just grabs you, and you go like, oh, I actually quite like this game. So
Well, as a demo, it sucks, but as a character creator, it's pretty fucking good.
yeah, it did have a lot of
Has
options.
A lot of
I mean,
options. Yeah.
you could, in fact, way more than I would probably ever bother with, because I probably only got like 2 menus deep on it, but there was definitely other menus.
Dude, there's people that been creating like Kratos and all kinds of shit, all kinds of different people. Like they've really gotten into
Yeah.
the weeds, and there's like, and because you can create pawns, so then when you're playing the game, and when you hire pawns, you can hire your friends' pawns or other people's pawns, and so when you go into that, you're like, oh, should I hire Kratos or should I hire whatever character, blah blah blah, from whatever.
Or you can hire one of your friends that's way over leveled and just kind of walk through the game.
Sure, exactly. And so it's kind of a cool thing, but I am interested in playing that game, but I'm waiting for it to drastically come down in price.
Yeah.
That's kind of where I'm at on it.
Well, we both played the first one because we got it for free.
Actually, no, we actually bought it.
We did?
Well, I bought it.
Well, it
Bryn
was
and
free.
I know it was free way later, but Bryn and I
Okay.
bought it on launch because Bryn wanted to play it. So I actually have
Okay.
an OG copy from PS3. Yeah, Bryn beat
There
it.
it
I never
is.
beat it, but
Yeah,
Bryn beat it.
baby.
So
Nice.
I don't remember if I beat it or not. I remember playing it and liking it.
so
Jumping on the monsters and stabbing the fuck out of them.
yeah, there's been some cool videos of that kind of shit, man. Like people like. Anyway, looks like a fun game. I'll check it out at
Yeah.
some point.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, back to the part where I was saying, like,
Hey,
video game industry does some cool shit. Also does some shit that we hate. So we're going to talk about it. Yay! No, I was just, I was trying to think of something like, man, we do lists or we do shoot the shit. And I was like, let's just just talk.
just chat.
Just chat about a topic. So,
I didn't even make some bullet points.
No, it doesn't have to be bullet
I'm
points.
just here.
From the
I'm
heart.
coming in.
Straight from the heart or from the brain, from the balls, the cock, just what you're thinking about the industry. And so, like, I don't want to go straight off into, like, talking shit about the industry. So let's, like, what are some of the things?
I had a really good one.
Oh, okay.
The first thing I just wanted, I know we briefly touched on it when we were talking about Helldivers, but I think Helldivers has done a really good job of having the microtransaction add-on type stuff, but not making it feel it's not pay to play, it's not pay to win. It's like, because I've not done it yet, but I have a feeling I am actually going to buy some of the super credits so I can unlock some of the further war bond levels.
Right.
But I don't feel like I have to if I don't,
Right.
I don't want
you're
to.
just
It's
enjoying
like,
it so much you want to.
Yeah, and it's like I like the weapons. I like the fact that when you do unlock the next level, it gives you some super credits essentially for free. You can get about 300 or 400 super credits, which I think it's like 1,000 super credits to open up a new war bond level. So you do get some, and then playing the game, you can get like 10, 15, 20, on levels. So if you want to, you could grind it out. And I think that it's done a really good job on making it a value add, but making it not feel like you're cheating.
Right.
By the same token.
I was gonna this is kind of one of those things where, like, I knew that the games of a service thing was gonna come up in this discussion where we things that are good or bad. But, like, if they were to throw the whole games as a service under the bus, I was gonna say, like, well, the two games that Dave plays the most are games as a service. Currently he's like, you can talk shit about it, but, like, the two games he loves to play are Rocket League and Helldivers is like.
And I think that's partly because
it's a balance, right? It's a balance.
Yeah, Rocket League. I don't feel the urge to buy stuff now anymore, but
you don't need to.
By the same token, you don't need to. It's like it gives you plenty of stuff, and
it's all cosmetics.
But you don't even need that. That game is such a skill-based game.
Yeah.
That, like, there's no pay to win. It's all like it's just all fruity visual bullshit. I feel like
those two games just do a really good job of scratching the itch of the people that do want the latest costume or whatever, but they don't do it by sacrificing the players who are playing it just as the base game, if that makes sense. You don't feel you can play it with the base level and you don't feel left out, or there are ways to get, like,
I think that's one of those things that comes down to the fact that at the very beginning of the game, they had a really good game with really solid mechanics. It's like you have a great game that people want to play. And then if you're smart about, there's that part in the industry where it's like, well, if we're smart about all the, the visual stuff that you want to sell, that's fine. But as long as the game itself is something that people want to play and keep coming back to, you're gonna be fine, And those are the games that you're kind of like, all right, they deserve. I get games as a service when they're like this.
Yeah.
But there's so many of those that aren't that it's just obnoxious.
Yeah, cash grabs.
And that's
buy more experience to level up faster.
It's rough.
Assassin's Creed.
So, like, you want to say, like, games as a service are a bad thing for the industry, but there are great shining examples of it.
Yeah, it's refreshing when it's done right, and it's kind of sad that it is refreshing when it's done right.
This is weird, like, because, like, and that's the thing, when a game sucks, when a game as a service game sucks, and then it's like it obviously fails pretty quickly. So maybe they didn't have a good game to begin with, and that's why they felt the need to overprice all their shit to try and, like, get as much money out of the gate as possible. Yeah. And I think that's what we're saying right here is, like, if the developers know that their game is solid in playtesting, then you don't have to cheat the gamers out of money. They'll willingly come to spend it. And that's the tough thing, because like a lot of it is not that. A lot of it is like just a bunch of bullshit that none of us want to deal with, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt.
And then another pairing that I thought was quite interesting, long-term support, I think I would call this. And I would say if you compare No Man's Sky to Anthem, like both of those had both
long-term
of those,
support. For Anthem? What are you talking about?
exactly.
Yeah,
That's what I mean. That's what
the opposition.
Remember how panned and disappointed people were in No Man's Sky when it first came out? There was quite a lot of disappointment because it had been hyped quite a lot. But they've stuck with it and they've turned the game around, and you know, not just turned it around, they've turned it into something pretty fantastic. It's not my kind. It's unfortunately not something I'm necessarily interested in, but I've got to appreciate that they really have stuck by that game and made it something really quite special.
I mean, how many updates at this point? And just last month, they had another massive update. I mean, this game has
and
not
that game didn't
quit.
sell as many copies, or was like, you've got to imagine Anthem sold pretty well. It didn't necessarily get it where it wanted to be, but they dropped that game like a hot potato. They had nothing left. They had nothing in the barrels for when it released, and it's so like again.
Well,
one game did really well. One game
Right.
did everything wrong, if you know what I mean.
I think you look at like the developer, like you have this really. I mean, I know it was Sony published and Sony was backing it to a degree, but at a certain point, it was just Hello Games, the No Man's Sky developer. Like, this is our game. This is our livelihood. This is all we had. Anthem was Blizzard, EA. Like, oh, this failed. We're not gonna fucking mess with this anymore. Blah.
Yeah. Well, two years ago, there's a report somebody found that it's estimated over 10 million copies have sold on No Man's Sky.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
That's awesome.
But you could this is also technically an independent studio, but their game would never be considered indie because it's a big game. But CD Projekt Red with Cyberpunk went through the same thing. They failed miserably. I mean, you could say they failed miserably. I think the game was pretty good, but they got hit pretty hard on the PS4 version. They got pretty nailed on that, but they stuck with it, and they put that DLC that came out last year, fucking, I think was awesome. And they stuck with the game and they stuck to it, and now they got people wanting them to make more, and they're just not going to. They got to move on to the next thing because they're a huge studio and they need to make more money.
Also think the other thing No Man's Sky and Cyberpunk did was they fixed the game and they gave the fixes out for free. They didn't try and double charge the users or whatever.
Yeah,
they're also very what do you call that? Opaque, transparent about what they're doing. Yeah. They're like, they were willing to talk, and I feel like once Anthem dropped and shit hit the fan, like EA didn't say shit, Biohazard didn't say shit about the game. They're kind of like, we're just kind of nah,
and really, I like Anthem. I felt was just it just needed more story and more, if you know what I mean. It's like
it needed to be a bit deeper. It was pretty shallow.
Yeah, deeper. Yeah. But then it
was fun to play.
No, it was fun to play.
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
just didn't. Totally. After you played it for like, it was just kind of over.
So I think, to sum up, anyway, two of the things I do like when done well about the modern industry is I do like the long-term support of some of these games where they have a vision and an idea and they don't necessarily nail it on release day, but they update it and support it, and they kind of like, I feel like Cyberpunk has become the game they wanted it to be when they were initially developing it.
What about the idea, like kind of like the Suicide Squad, or the idea that game, like these studios forcing this kind of live service thing.
Or being forced to put it in.
Or the developers being forced to put it in, like these games that, and then they bomb right away. Like, should they, like, they bomb, they're not very good, and then the studio's still supporting them, trying to get people. I mean, like, why is that even a thing? Like, no one wants to play these. Why are you still trying to force this, like, annual pass on me? Like, not that you're really forcing it on me, but I just like I feel bad for the developer that the publisher's like, well, get them to do this now because we got to get this out. It's like, why? It's sad.
But games like Suicide Squad are a weird example where the majority, the big fan base that's only getting the game because they love the franchise, aren't the vocal people. There's millions and millions of people. This game sold really well.
Did it?
But the people in media and the vocal ones are the ones slamming it. You know,
did Suicide Squad sell well?
Big.
Though?
Yeah. I forgot what the numbers were, but yeah, it did well.
I didn't realize it did really that well. I didn't want to play it. It looked awful.
Let's see. Kill the Justice League.
I must admit, though, it's like one of the things I like is that most games now have gone away from a monthly subscription just to play that individual game. You know how it used to be, like, quite a lot of especially like adventure games and Final Fantasy. It was $10 a month to play the game.
I mean, some of them still are. I mean, Bryn still plays a monthly subscription for ESO.
Yeah, some of them are
WoW still has this monthly subscription.
There's quite a. I don't think there's that many new games though that come out. With
I don't think so either. But
it's like these are kind of legacy games,
right?
And even then, you've got to imagine that that's dying off. So, and maybe it's because they get enough money from PlayStation Plus or whatever to run the servers, or But then that's not profit for them, is it? It's just maintenance and upkeep. So who knows?
No luck on finding that, Jarrod?
No,
I don't think it's sold. You think it sold that well? I don't.
I think it sold well. The player counts on Steam aren't very high, but I remember hearing on a show that it actually sold pretty well.
Well, what do you guys just think about game price right now? Like, we're not going to talk about like deluxe edition, super edition, where it's like $90, $100, but like just the base price of $69.99. Do we feel that that's unfair, or do you feel like when you think back when you were a kid and a fucking Nintendo game cost $49.99, that it is unfair that a game is now $69.99?
I honestly think for a long time. So this will give you an idea. I'm just looking at an inflation calculator. $40 in 1990 would be $95 today. I think that answers your question.
So it's fair, but none of us want to pay for it because we still think it's overpriced.
I paid more than that for certain Super Nintendo games.
No, I know, but I'm just saying, like, back then,
it's wild.
Things were paid, and now we have this idea. I mean, I've paid $69.99 for some new games. I'm not against doing that, and I do it for games
I don't buy as many new games as I used to.
But when people say $69.99 is too much versus, like, a $49.99, when, like, Super Mario Brothers 3 was $49.99 at Fred Meyer's back when I was a kid, like, is that really...
No, I mean, you look at those old games as well. Look at the teams that developed them. And
right.
It's like...
And you could beat them in 3 hours.
I mean, there's some games for those old systems that were developed by, like, 3 people in a shed.
I mean...
One of a bad description.
I don't like that the games are $70. I'm going to be honest. I don't like that. But I understand it. I understand why it's that much, because I don't feel like... I mean, when a Blue HD UHD film of a movie is like $29.99, and that's just a thing you watch for 2 hours, and then that's what you have. A game that you buy and then you spend like double, triple, quadruple the amount of time on, that makes sense to me that it should be that price. But I get that it's a lot of money.
I think we've also grown used to like if a game's not successful, in like a month or two, it'll be half of that price or whatever.
Right. Right.
And then the second thing we've grown used to is like when you bought a Super Nintendo game, that's your game forever. Whereas now, like they switch off the servers or they cripple the game, you know, and that's this comes back to one of the things I don't like anymore is you buy a disc and you've got to download the update day one, and
Yeah.
you know it's not. And I understand why that exists and stuff, but it doesn't. By the same token, I don't recall really hating any Xbox 360 games that I played.
Right.
Where you just put the disc in it, install what it needed to install, and then you played it. I mean, so I'm not sure it's necessarily a bigger or better benefit to the for some games. I understand why online games is a little different, but for a Final Fantasy type game where there's no real online component, it's like the game should be on the disc. It shouldn't
Unless
need
it's just
it
too
uploaded.
big. I mean, there's always the thing
Yeah,
that
unless
it's
it's too
just
big,
too
yeah.
fucking big.
Yeah.
But
And that that's also an
But
issue.
these
nowadays,
current
but-
discs are 100 gigabytes. That's a
Well, I
big
think
ass
that's-
disc.
that and to answer your question, Ian, that like our game's overpriced. Think how much it must have cost to make a Super Nintendo cartridge or a Sega Genesis cartridge back in
Right.
the day and sell it for $40. The actual cost to manufacture that
Sure.
was a lot more, and that's why game prices held still for quite a while.
well, I
was
think
when
that's why digital prices haven't gone down.
yeah.
Because they have to subsidize the cost of production of the fucking physical version that people want to keep buying. Like
yeah,
they don't.
physical copies are costing more because there's not as many discs being printed. or
So they
created
so
But
like
even then,
anymore.
they're not
and
that
that's why the
expensive.
digital wise they're like technically the digital should be cheaper because you're not getting a disc or a fucking case, but they're not cheaper because they subsidize the cost of that physical production, and it's just like that's where we are right now. It's just like, and they're never gonna, even if they cease, it's like even if they cease physical production, it's not like digital's gonna go cheaper, So it's like
No, it's not.
Let's
so
face it.
Absolutely not.
Even if you ignore the cost of the media, making video games is not getting any cheaper. Like,
Well,
doesn't matter
yeah,
what-
sit
You've
through
had-
the
you've
credits
had-
on any modern
you've had
game.
multiple
You'll be there a while.
developers saying that like it's just too, and publishers it's so expensive. Like the fact that the normal price is $69.99 right now that's why they have all these collector's editions with the $90, $109, like for all this. They need to make money.
That's pure profit. Yeah.
They need to
I
make
think
money.
it was the lead, one of the leads at CD Projekt Red recently mentioned that it would be nice if the stores allowed people to tip the developers like $20 here and there after they bought the game and loved it.
There was
toss them a few more coins.
Yeah, there was another thing that was like, hey, like or like in game, like if you bought it digitally and then you hit a link and you could tip them more instead of. Just like, hey, at the end of the game, you hit the link and like you could tip them like whatever amount because I really liked your game. Here's some extra money.
Yeah. Hey, cool. Keep going.
There's been a lot of talk about that because it's like, it's technically $70 is cheap for what you're getting if it's good. If it's like,
yeah,
but there's a lot of shit games that are also $70. It's like. They shouldn't be $70.
Yeah, I also have to say, I don't think Helldivers 2 would be as successful if it had been a full $70 game. Because
the price point really got people snagging.
It really helped
right
sell it because I might have bought it eventually, but
you get why it's a $40 game.
Yeah,
basically it is that. But then you have such goodwill for being a cheaper game, a simple game. You get way more people buying it, and then you get all these people being like, "Oh, I want to support this." Like you got to
really not much to it.
You really got to know your game.
Mm-hmm.
You really got to know your game and I think they knew, like, well, at the end of the day, this is a $40 game. You do this thing over and over again. We think it's really fun. We think but I think at $40, that's perfect.
Yeah.
They
and
knew.
They probably sold 2 or 3 times as many copies as they would have done if it had been $70.
So I mean,
good on them.
They were just really smart about that. I think that's knowing, and I think a lot of times when you're with I mean, you got to think sometimes, like, I mean, even with Sony is like publishing, like maybe even Sony probably said, like, hey, you probably should sell this for more. Who knows? That'd be interesting.
That'd be interesting conversations to be
to hear, kind of be the fly on the wall about that. It's like, no, this is what we want to stick it at, you know. Anyway, I'd be curious, but there's definitely certain games that you're like, whoa, why was this $70? You know?
Yeah, you're like, wow, yeah.
Yeah. I like how some of these companies are like so open about like the problems in the game and things like that. Like speaking of Helldivers, they're like, we can't stop the progression to kill some of these bugs. You know, we just got to keep all this content moving forward. We can't pause it.
So I'm gonna say on the price, we're gonna be like, we don't like it, but we understand it.
Yeah,
that's where I'm gonna go with that one.
Yeah, absolutely.
What do you guys?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Oh,
no,
I was gonna say, like, so where are we at with, like, there are so many fucking games coming out now. Like,
and we're getting tons of free ones left and right.
It's just like we're inundated with video games, and I mean, I don't even know. Like, Dave's been playing demos that are new for games I will never touch because they sound fucking awful. You know what I mean? There's like so much awful bullshit. There's a lot of good stuff. There's a lot of cheap indie stuff. There's some, you know, it's just so much content.
Which people have been working on for a long time.
Yeah. It does take a lot for a game to break through like Helldivers. I mean, even Helldivers has kind of broken through into the general gaming consciousness, but there's so many little eddies and backwaters of games that don't do that for some reason.
Or they do, but they have a little niche. You know, it's like, oh, here's a $30 game. It's really popular. It's like
or they
really
don't
fun.
have a longevity. I mean, it's like they're popular for a brief moment, and then
then they disappear into the aether if nobody's talking about it. Like, media doesn't talk about old games. It comes out 2 weeks later, you never hear about it again.
Like Pacific Drive came out. It came out, had a little bit of hype running up to it, came out, some decent reviews, and gone.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Buy it. I just don't have time.
It's super great game, super fun.
To play it.
But you'll never hear about it again.
It's really hard to make a splash, isn't it?
It's
yeah. Whereas back in the day, you know, you had like your 3 releases for the month on your Nintendo, and you'd be like, well, you know, and you'd rent or you'd buy or whatever. You'd rent it or you'd buy it.
Yeah, I've rented a lot of games.
You know?
But I remember, like, on the old games back in the day, I'd be like, okay, Super Mario World, I'm going to beat all the levels, get the star next to my thing, 86 levels or whatever stars, and I'm going to do it on all 3 saves. Oh, I did it. I'm going to delete it and do it all again.
Yeah, you had the time. You had the time.
Going.
That's the other thing. You had the time to play the fucking game. You know what I mean? It's like nowadays, like, I mean, I get Dave. He doesn't buy a lot of. He doesn't really feel the aggressiveness to. He plays what he plays. He still plays a lot, but he doesn't feel the aggressiveness to purchase the newest, latest, best. Jarrod and I are kind of on this side where we like to keep fucking trying to stay up to date with shit. Trying, you know. But it's tiresome. It's getting worse and worse. It's like where it used to be. Like, I was gonna buy Stellar Blade at launch. I didn't. I was just like, and it's getting good reviews. It's getting great reviews.
Oh, okay.
The
demo was awesome.
I'm just gonna wait. I got other games going on right now. I just can't. Mm-hmm. There's too much shit. I still haven't
beat Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and I have DLC for Final Fantasy 16 that I can't access right now.
I think that's the other thing. You buy a new game, and it's like, okay, this is a 40-hour game. And so, I don't know about you guys. You probably have more hours in the week than I to play video games, but a 40-hour game is going to take me 2 weeks to beat. Mm. And so that's like, so if there's two 40-hour games come out, I'm only going to play one of them, and then they are 2 weeks later, and
that's the thing, right, Dave? Then life happens. You have life, and like you can't do stuff, or if you're with the couch co-op,
comes out on PS Plus, or
if you're with the couch co-op, you got like fucking drama internally, and I can't. Anyway, I still have Pacific Drive to finish. I really liked Immortals of Avium they gave it away for free, but I really like that, and I'm halfway through it. I want to beat that. You know, I just got And then I got
It's on my system. I haven't even started
and
it.
then you have the multiplayer when people want to. Oh, let's play Rocket League. Let's play
We're
Helldivers. Let's do this. It's like you ain't got time to play these fucking 70-hour games. Not that they're all 70.
We're not-
$70
we're not
But you
really-
have to make space on your system
Well, that
We're not
doesn't
to
matter.
have it, just
but
in
we
case
we are-
everybody's playing it.
We can buy all the games we want,
True.
but by the same token, we are time poor.
Right.
I mean,
oh yes,
Yeah.
100%.
yeah, 40
Time
hours.
is a valuable resource.
Yeah, it's like that's a lot of time to put in the game in a week.
And I think that's what you're kind of. I think that's one of those things
Yeah.
you got to kind of get into, Dave. Where like, as a group, we got to kind of start thinking like, well, this is the game. If there's a multiplayer game that we think we all like, and we tried, like Jarrod and I tried Helldivers. Well, let's get everyone into it, and then that's the game we'll play for a while, and that's cool. We're into it. Then you got to think like, well, what's my next solo player game? And that's your solo player game. When no one wants to play the other game, you can play this game. And then maybe you're not in the mood for that game, and then you play another game. I don't know. It's just funny how like that has become what I think about. And then I don't know.
Well,
and then you guys
I
have
to
kids
think about
and other
games
things
I can play when my
Right.
kids are awake.
Exactly.
and
This
then
whole
ones
I don't
that
have to
I
worry
can
about that shit. But
Play
you
when
guys
they're
do.
asleep.
Mine's a
Exactly.
teenager. They fuck off to the room
Well,
and
there you
ignore
go.
me. So
There you go. Well,
it's
Yeah.
like I can play whatever. I
Yeah.
want.
but it's just like those are the things that are considered in this, and then
Yeah.
because it is a lot of fun when we play together. Like
Yep.
the amount of fun you get in a video game is fun, but when you start playing with friends in a good game that you're having fun with, I feel like the fun like
Jarrod fucks
multiplies. It really but it multiplies. It becomes greater than the game. It's something that's more fun, and then it's like, oh, this is why I play video games.
Yeah.
This is why I play video
Absolutely.
games.
Have we told the story of the pissing Jarrod off on the
I don't know if that
podcast?
Yeah,
ever came up.
I
I
think
mean,
so.
that was a few months ago. Maybe you
It was
did,
a
Dave.
few months
I don't
ago,
know.
but needless to say, Ian and I and Jarrod were playing Helldivers, and I can't remember who did it first, but I nuked Ian or Ian nuked me, and so like a minute or two later, it was like, oh
No, then someone killed somebody.
yeah,
I
and
think
then someone
I
killed
think
someone
Dave
else.
accidentally nuked me on something, and then I shot him, and then he shot me, and we started shooting each other for a while.
And they were
Yeah.
bickering, and then
Bickering and
they
shooting
got
shit.
me, and they
No,
were
no, 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 no.
bickering back and
No,
forth,
no, no.
and it
Oh,
was
no, I
loud,
guess
and
not.
I just couldn't handle it because it was a hard night with my kids.
So this is what happens. There's like the three of us, and we're in a 4-player game with like some rando guy who's super high level and collecting
Yeah.
samples. So this goes on, and then finally towards the end, the ship is coming.
we simmer down,
Yeah,
then
we
we get
simmer
to the
down. The extraction
extraction
is
point, yeah.
coming. It's landing, and Dave throws a fucking something at me, and he says he threw.
I was
far-
not
he
throwing
thought
it
he
at you,
threw it-
but I threw an
he-
aerial strike or like an eagle strafing run or something because I had it in my hand. I was waiting, guarding the spot.
Because
And
I was just
threw it
hiding
over
behind
the
something,
ship,
just
and
chilling
it
out,
must have bounced off and like landed next to you, Ian.
and it killed me.
And so it came down.
So
and
Jarrod
killed
called me
you.
back in.
Well, I was going for your samples, and I got killed.
No.
Yeah,
Hold on a
it's-
sec,
you
Jarrod. Not
collected
that
a
yet.
ton
Not
of
that yet.
samples,
Not that
yeah.
yet. Not that yet. So he calls me back in, and I land, and Dave's like, "Oh shit, I better get into the ship." And so I'm right by the ship waiting. Dave runs in the ship. I didn't know you could do this. You can kill them when they're inside the ship. So I kill Dave inside the ship, and Jarrod gets fucking livid. He's like,
all my
fucking A, and he
samples
runs
go.
out to like save Dave and get the samples. But the samples are by the ship, which is weird. But I start shooting Jarrod. It's like, Jarrod, just get in the ship and let's go. And I'm shooting at Jarrod. Anyway, I think I killed Jarrod. But anyway, the ship takes off without us. And the one guy, the rando gets away for free. So like he's fine. He's like, okay, he didn't get all the samples he wanted, but he got away for free. And Dave and I are fucking laughing our asses off. And the next thing we know, it's like, Jarrod left chat.
Yeah.
Dave and
I think with a long sigh.
Dave and I just like
Yeah.
fucking no, you didn't say jack shit, Jarrod. It was quiet. It was just like Jarrod and I. It was just Dave and I laughing, and then we see Jarrod has left the chat, and it's just
Yeah,
like
'cause
we
you-
just started
Ian-
laughing our asses
I was
off.
like, Ian, I didn't mean to kill you with that. And you're
It's like, whatever, dude.
Bullshit.
Bullshit.
Whatever. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it sounded like bickering children, and I had that enough that day.
Needless to say, when Jarrod left, Ian and I
Just
like,
slapped our asses
killed
up.
ourselves laughing.
Yeah,
We
of
were
course.
We were just like, oh man, we pissed off Jarrod. We must have been good.
Well, I was trying to settle down with a lot of bug killing.
Anyway, yes.
But yeah,
Okay.
we
Hey,
are dicks to
Helldivers
play
again.
with.
See, we all like
Yeah.
Helldivers.
Yeah.
Arrowhead Games, you're doing a great job.
Well, it's funny. My wife and I kind of have a running joke. Like, I go to bed and she's watching like war stories. People are getting their faces blown off in like World War II, and I'm like, "Oh, you're watching a nice bedtime story, honey?" She's like, "Oh yeah, how many people did you kill?" You know, like it's stupid.
I didn't kill people.
I mean, it's funny the
Automatons
things
and
you do
bugs.
to settle down
Yeah.
and calm down, just vent for the night. You know, it's. Video games are that release where you're just like, all right, the day's over. I'm just gonna chill. I'm gonna play a game, and
Anyway,
just
to bring it
relax.
back to the topic,
Well,
one of the things.
well, go ahead.
Oh,
Go
It,
God,
ahead.
it kind of is.
It's kind
Well,
of.
it is kind of the topic, but bring it back another point on the topic. One of the things I dislike about some modern games is just how big they are and how many side quests and how many like fetch quests there are.
Yeah,
I can't believe we've not got rid of the fetch.
there is no
quests.
balance
But they
in
want
side
you to
questing yet.
make you feel like you got your $70 worth, Dave.
So I felt like I totally got my $60 worth probably at the time out of the first Horizon game. I thought that was great. And the second Horizon game, I actually felt with what I did on it, and I didn't do half the side quests, I felt the map was just too big. And I played the story and I would have been very happy with just that. But to give you an idea, the first game I played through that and I was like, okay, I platinumed it. I did all the side quests and stuff. So it's not that I
Me
wasn't
too.
against them, but the second one, it was just like, this map is just way too big and there's just not enough interesting things in it. You know,
Which I got the platinum in that one as well, and I didn't even explore the whole map.
wow.
You know,
Yeah, exactly. It's like, it is sometimes more is not more.
It's funny about
Yeah.
that though. You spend $70 on a game now, and you or don't, but for the most part, you do. You're
Mhm.
playing it, and you think about the size of it. And some games you play, and it's like, this is just too big. I don't want to do this. Other games, I'm like, dude, I fucking love I fucking love this. I want to spend 200 hours. Like Assassin's Creed Odyssey. I spent
Yeah.
200 hours in this game, and I would say it's a.
I think I spent 90 or 100 in that game and platinumed it.
platinumed
for the
it.
same reason.
But I did all the DLC. That's why, Dave. So like it added anyway.
Yeah,
but
you're a better man than I.
but it's not like some of those quests are any better than some of boring ass quests in another game. It's funny what game clicks with you and you're willing to spend all that time with, and what game you play through and you're like, oh, I'm just kind of done with this. It's so fucking weird. Like, and the game could be really well made.
Row was kind of like, ugh, I'm just not that interested.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I stuck through it, but like, I beat
so
it.
did I,
But I probably put like 30 hours into it, and
I beat it, but the dialogue.
I paid
felt
$70
forced
for it.
and-
You guys got it for free.
Yeah, true.
yeah.
No accounting for taste.
But it's a weird thing, that those games that like you're willing to spend all that time, even though you're doing the same stupid shit, and then the games you're not really into. It's just a fine line of like mechanics and gameplay and story that like click with you and then don't click with you.
Yeah,
It's
if
so
a
crazy.
game feels good to play, then you'll generally kind of do some of the side quests and stuff. But
Well, it's like CD Projekt Red, like Cyberpunk, that Cyberpunk 2077. I bought it. I played the PS4 version on PS5. I beat it, enjoyed it, but put it down. Never came back to it. The DLC came out. I bought the DLC with the PS, and then with the PS5 update, played it, and then I played the shit out of the entire game. Like the gameplay got upgraded and it felt better, and I got reinvested in it, and it made me want to spend all the time in the game. So then I beat all the DLC. I came back and beat all the missions, unlocked a bunch of shit, and it's just like it does really come down to gameplay ultimately.
Yeah,
like
it really does.
Assassin's Creed Odyssey is a fucking awesome game, and if there were more trophies or something else in that game to give me, I would probably still be in that game. Because it's better than Valhalla. It's just like it's so much fun. It's weird. It's a weird thing.
Yeah, I mean, let's face it. Helldivers isn't the most complex game, but the mechanics are fun, and you come back and play it again because
and you make lots of stories with your friends.
It feels good to shoot and kill things. It's just
it feels good. It's like Destiny, It always felt good as a game,
Right.
I played some of that this week.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, felt awesome. 2. It was fun.
Destiny 2, probably.
There's a new wave-based battle thing there.
And Final Shape's coming.
Yeah. I'll jump into that.
I thought about it. They gave us They gave us a bunch of the DLCs for free, but I don't know. I don't know if I can do it.
It still feels and looks great. Still one of the best-looking first-person shooters.
Whatever, Jarrod, you're a liar.
You just need a 4K TV.
Do I? I don't know.
With HDR.
If it looks good on HD, it shouldn't matter. There was another point I wanted to poke at. We did price. We did too much.
The way they treat their employees.
Well, there is that too. I mean, there's a lot of that. But I mean, here's the problem with that. Here's the other thing. Like, I feel like, well, we're talking about the game industry. I think video game journalism is fucking trash.
Yes.
So, and yes, video game journalism is like always about like shining the light on the fact that these giant corporations are like laying off all their workers. But it's like, do you guys not pull your heads out of your ass and look around what's going on in society and just realize that every fucking giant corporation is laying off people? Like, it's just what's going on, right?
Corporations do.
It's just what's going on, but it's also just what's going on right now. Like, the video game industry isn't special. It's just what you're reporting on. But like, and you're gonna talk. You can talk shit about it, but it's like every other corporation or just like school entity or whatever, they're also laying off people left and right. It's just the shitty. Well, they say it's not a shitty economy, but it's just where we're at right now. It's just
so. My biggest complaint about the news media for gaming at this point is it's all opinions versus just reporting news.
Opinions.
It's hard to find just a site that will tell you like the details and whatever. Like half the time you're like, there's the shitty headline, and then you have to scroll 3/4 of the way through the article, through the opinions to find what they're actually talking about. And I fucking hate that. Because they want you to scroll through and see all the fucking ads, because none of these companies are making any money.
We're going to quote that as your opinion on this title of the show, Jarrod. Jarrod fucking hates.
Yeah, of course.
I also feel like it's a side thing. It's like one thing I liked about the old video game industry, or when in the 90s when I was younger, was that like you didn't hear that much about games necessarily before they were released. Partly because they didn't take as long to develop as they do now, but partly because it was easier to keep things under wraps. So it does feel like there's less surprises or like innovation, because even any game that you can think of has been teased and teased and teased for 2-3 years before it comes out. So it's just not as surprising or as like refreshing as you would feel it might be if it just dropped.
Jarrod, Dave, there's 2 points on Dave's I want to make a point. First of all, the whole like secrecy, like kind of the magic of that, really, like the whole fact of the internet and like how it's blown out these last few years with the death of like E3 and like these shows where like like that whole thing used to be special, and it made the gaming industry special. The aura of like finding out about video games was
everyone would save their updates.
Around like these kind of like cycles of these like expos and stuff, and that's gone now. So it's like, and then like what another thing that Dave's saying is like now with the internet, video game. They're teasing games that are like not even
left and right.
They're not, but they're not even made yet. They're like a little teaser trailer.
A decade before they're done.
There's like a little title and some feet, and it's like, oh yeah, Wonder Woman, 2030. It's like, oh wow, I get to wait for this game
eventually.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Eventually, it's just like, okay, but that's news, and yet these fucking assholes in the journalism thing, they still treat that as if it's like the holy grail of news. It's like, it's not news. It's not news.
Yeah.
And then they'll spend a whole show, they'll spend an hour talking about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Ronin is releasing from Warner Brothers in like 2029. And it's like, we don't need an hour of that.
It's hot right now.
It's not
put
important.
it on your wish. Oh, you can't put it on wish list.
But you can't get away from it. And I also feel guilty about it from just our standpoint that we talk about that shit because it's like,
because
we're caught up in it
what
too.
I've legit thought of doing, because reading through video game news is pretty lame these days, and it's hyper opinionated, and the websites are mostly garbage, full of ads, like 4 ads per screen. You're just trying to scroll through and you're tapping on ads accidentally.
That's why we don't do news on this show.
I've thought of actually just not doing that. And now you can actually subscribe to Game Informer without going through GameStop.
Oh.
Well. And I've legit thought of just doing that and getting my news through a magazine once a month.
But the news is
for less than $20 a year, and that's legit what I've thought of doing, because I'm just kind of tired of it. It's like a waste of time.
Really? It's just weird. I don't know.
Yeah.
There was an interesting article. I think it was GameSpot, where the marketing director of Larian said that marketing video games is worthless in this day and age, in this market, because you just really need to communicate. Because with all the social media stuff, you just need to communicate with the people. You don't need to go to these avenues. You don't need to go to GameStop or Polygon.
You don't need to go community managers.
You don't need to deal with any of the outlets or any of that. You just need to be, because what people want is A, they want to be talked directly to, and B, they don't want to be bamboozled, as he put it. He just that's what they want. They just want to be talked to and not bamboozled. And and then you look at these sites, and they talk down to you, and then they bamboozle you left and right for clicks. So it's like, he's right, I think. And you look at Baldur's Gate 3 as being the most popular game of the year. How did it become game of the year? How did it get so many downloads? How did it sell so well? They must be kind of right. Like, they're just talking directly to people. And then obviously the sites have to report on what's going on, but they don't have to, but Larian doesn't have to talk to them,
Yeah.
It's our game doesn't succeed because of you guys. Like a game used to back in the day, like Game Pro or EGM.
Yeah.
We don't need you to succeed. You need us to succeed, and that's the flip.
Well, the biggest difference is any of these companies can post one sentence, even a 3-word tweet, and it's going to be a 200-word website page.
But do you ever read the comments on that shit?
Sites.
Everyone just fucking says you spelled this wrong, or
and then you said
this
don't
wrong.
read the comments.
It's so toxic.
Yeah,
it's
it's so bad.
It's what? And then a lot of those articles are just so garbage. And I'm so tired of like the 10 tips you need to know about Helldivers. It's like, you don't need 10 tips about just go play the game with your friends. You don't what? I don't know. I get tired of it.
I mean, guides are fine.
But they're not guides.
Every site has a guide section.
They're opinions.
That's always been that way.
Yeah, exactly. 100%. 100%.
And guides for specific games work for specific people.
Yeah, but you can do that.
Every site has different opinions, and sometimes they work for you.
But a lot of it's like the 10 things you need to know before you buy. And it's like, but that's never helpful.
The ones that always get me 10 things you didn't know your PlayStation 5 could do.
But then you did until maybe one of them.
You clicked on it because you didn't,
you didn't know that number 4. Number 4 you didn't know. But
Yeah,
number one,
I
you're
knew
like,
this shit.
what?
Come on.
Whatever. No, like, yeah, games journalism is trash. I think it's one of the worst things I dislike about the industry right now. And I hate
Which is
how
really sad because growing up in the 90s, I
right?
used to love
Yeah.
games journalism. Like in the UK, I remember you would go into WH Smith and there would be 20, 30 different magazines, like 2 or 3 per system, you know, like couple of Nintendo, a couple of Sega, a couple of Amiga, couple of Atari ST, you know, it's like every system had at least 2 magazines.
But they also went through an editorial stage where like people were actually looking through those articles that they were writing. Like I don't think anyone pays attention to what is posted.
I personally think it's more fun to listen to the news through a podcast where multiple opinions are being bounced upon one another, where they can be criticized immediately, and it's that kind of stuff, that banter. Like I like DLC,
You mean like this one?
Min-Max. Couch co-op. Whenever I'm not on it, I listen to it. I love listening to you guys. It's fun.
Well,
it is. But
the thing I don't like.
It's fun listening to it.
The thing I don't like about it though nowadays, and one of the reasons that we don't really do news, but there's journalism. Like Polygon, all those guys. All these sites have their writing. Then they have their own podcast. Then the people on those podcasts have their own podcast, and it's just like, and then they're an incestuous circle of people that get along to each other, and they're all on each other's podcasts, and they all talk the same, and it's just like you listen to one podcast and it's the same as the other podcast, and it's not really fresh or it's not really interesting because they're all sharing. It's not a unique voice anymore. Like none of those outlets.
Like five words on Twitter by some game manufacturer, and they.
Yeah, I don't know.
Here's an hour show about it.
It's interesting. Yeah. I don't know. And I've prided our show on trying to be like we're obviously a lower tier podcast about video games that we don't ever break the service on those other ones. But I do think that we're a little bit more real. We actually do all buy our own video. I mean, we're not being like serviced by the industry. We we
don't have the spoon-fed games,
right? So I feel like we have a little more legitimacy, but that's up to the listener to decide. And
we're the average gamer that can't afford every fucking game. We don't have time. We have fun. We get to play with each other when we can. That's life. That's real life.
They're also getting paid to do this, and we're not.
Yeah, we're not getting paid anything. We have to spend our money on our games. We have to pay for our crappy computers breaking down.
We have to deal with our drama ourselves.
If you're watching the video, I just have a lamp, a shitty lamp with a piece of paper taped to diffuse my light.
That's what I got too.
We got nothing. I got a shitty HP webcam. I can't even adjust the focus.
I will tell this to you guys, listeners. We are real friends, though. We're not fake distance calling. Yeah. We're actual friends that hang out, drink beers.
It's been a couple of years. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been a few.
Yeah. We've hung out for a bit. Yeah. That's funny.
What else do we like or dislike about what's going on in the video game industry?
Well, it's been touched on a little bit already, but games being announced so early. It's literally just a trailer that they have thought of making the game. Or like the right people gave them the okay. Yeah, thumbs up. You can totally make a game based on this franchise. We get that news, and then it's like nothing. Dead silence for years.
It feeds the machine. I feel like it feeds the machine. So it's all like industry based. So like you have the developer, publisher, well, let's tease it, and then you have the journalism side forcing it out there to make everyone ravenous. But it's like an empty, like, no one gets off on that.
I could only imagine the announcement comes out, the company's stock goes up a little bit,
right?
And they're like, all the investors are like, yay, right. And the fans are like, when?
Yeah, and then the news sites get a bunch of clicks that day. So
Yeah.
it hits that circle. But then us as the player, that doesn't help us. I don't
Yeah.
Just
care.
getting fed sugar.
I'm just
There's
like,
no
yeah,
I
exactly.
completely, like you mentioned earlier, there was a Wonder Woman game made. I completely forgot about that.
It's coming sometime,
Nothing has
right?
been mentioned since that trailer.
No, we haven't seen a real trailer since that trailer.
Nope.
And that was like 5 years ago. So that game should be close to being
It
fucking
feels like
done.
it.
Have we even seen it? No. It's the industry sucks on that. Like stop announcing shit. Like I actually kind of like Bethesda with Starfield. They announced Starfield way back. Like, this is a game we're working on. No,
It's
release
gonna
date.
be a while.
And then way late, it's like, oh, here, this is our game, and it's coming out here, and it did. This is this, and it's coming now.
I like that
obviously
6-month
Microsoft
window.
and Xbox fucked all that shit up. The game's not that great. It's fine. It'll get better, but it's not. It wasn't that great. Anyway, that's not here or there. But at least Bethesda kind of not giving a shit about that, and like even Todd Howard's being like, I'm not saying anything's coming out for Fallout ever, until it's ready. We're working on it and shit. It's like it's like I wish more developers were like that right now, because like we're getting like
that's one thing I hotly respect about Nintendo is that their games are announced then they come out.
What are you fucking talking about? Metroid
Well,
Prime
other than
4,
Metroid.
Dude,
Other than Metroid.
Suck a dick.
Fuck, yeah, that's bullshit.
I think-
that's.
I think Nintendo suffers from the other thing, though, that I don't like about the current video game industry, and I don't like it about the movie industry either, which is a reliance on sequels and rehashed
That's all
ideas.
fucking Nintendo is.
You know these
Yeah.
names, yeah.
That's the Nintendo, especially. I mean, what was the last new IP? Probably Splatoon.
Splatoon for when the Wii U first initially
Arms.
dropped,
Yep.
and they're already up with the
Arms.
third one.
Yeah, exactly.
Does
and-
anybody remember Arms?
Oh, shut up, Jared. Arms failed. There's a
And
lot of
then there's-
failures.
Mario Kart, the Mario game.
Mario Kart 8,
Kirby.
also Wii U.
Yep.
Never a new
lot of
version.
Wii U games on the Switch.
We got a new version of Splatoon. We never got a new Mario Kart for not this Switch. We're probably getting a new one for the next Switch. Crazy. Nintendo.
Yeah, I mean, as much as like I don't like the Zelda game. I'm not a big fan of Zelda games, but it's like everyone
a
gets in
2D
a big
Zelda.
twizzy when they release a new one, and it's like, come on, surely we can come up with a new universe and a new story that like is refreshing. But it's easier to make Zelda 25 than it is to make like and trade on the memories.
Yeah, it does seem kind of disingenuous to like. Oh my god.
That's a foamy Stella.
It is, yeah. For Nintendo to just keep like just playing on nostalgia, I feel like it got old a long time ago for me. But
Yeah.
I guess no one cares.
Well,
as long as
it's
that's
funny.
magical and
I'm always surprised at how people can be so excited about the same game that they've been making for 20. Actually, it's 30 plus years.
no, you can't be, Dave. Because listen,
so
no,
I admit,
well, hold on a second, Jared. You can't be, Dave, because this is why Call of Duty is so successful, because they learned from the master of Nintendo.
Yeah,
If we like Call of Duty does the same thing. They make basically the same game with some tweaks that change it up, and it's the biggest selling game of all time.
Yeah.
That's the Nintendo. This is where Mario and Nintendo are exactly the same as Call of Duty. This Call of Duty learned this from
Yep.
Nintendo, and no one else has somehow been able to master this like Call of Duty has.
Yeah.
It's crazy to me, but
I
that's
think the only difference is Call of Duty's been going since 2003, and like
Nintendo's been going since 80.
yeah.
But that's when, but like
I mean,
they learned
I
it.
I think the N64 was the last like real sea change in Nintendo, because they had to take some of those 2D games and try and make them 3D. And that was the last time they really innovated. Was like, obviously Mario 64. It's quite a game, and they did a great job of going from 2D to 3D there and made something new.
But they did that with all their games, and they
Yeah.
all got successful because everyone's, oh.
But that was actually
Metroid
something
Prime
new.
went
I
to
remember
3D.
playing it, yeah.
Zelda went to 3D. Everyone's like, oh. And it's like, but
And then they just stopped. I mean, really, it's just like variations on a theme
Innovation?
from that point.
Well, innovation turned into like gimmicks with controllers and things like
gimmicks,
that.
100% gimmicks. Yeah.
Yeah, they're producing hardware that they want people to buy lots of Joy-Cons. They want people to buy lots of Wiimotes.
I do
which
want
I
to
saw
say,
tons of
I
those
just
at
want to,
Goodwill.
I just want to preface. I'm not saying the games suck. If you like the games, they're fine. They're well-made games. They are what they are. But it's not new,
There's nothing really
innovative, or
yeah.
maybe there's a little gimmick that's new, that's different. Maybe he's wearing a cat suit this time. Maybe, it's just little things.
So what I was trying to get on earlier is I bought Super Mario Wonder pretty early. You know, I was like, oh, okay, cool. Yeah, this sounds like a game I could play with my kids. I played it with one of my daughters once, and they're both just like, meh. And I haven't touched it since.
Even they're bored of Mario.
I think this is another thing where games journalism fucking sucks, because everyone in games journalism seems to think that Nintendo is the second coming of Christ, and it's just like, why is there not an outlet that doesn't believe in Nintendo? Like, I would love to start I'm not gonna downplay Nintendo as being shitty, but like, I would like to have a news outlet that's like, Nintendo's fine. You know, like, Nintendo's fine.
A proper critic.
Like a proper critic. Like, everyone just thinks like Nintendo needs to have his dick sucked off every time. Like it releases. Like, what is the Princess Peach game? Like, that I heard was like, people are talking wonderful shit about, but it actually is awful. Like, it's not very good. And it's just like,
it's basically if you put Microsoft on there instead of Nintendo, that shit wouldn't fly.
Right.
So the weirdest part about that game is Nintendo wouldn't even announce which one of their developers created it. They told people, just wait until you finish the game and see the credits.
I don't even care. I don't even care about that. I just feel like none of those games are worth it. I can't even. It's not. I feel like
there's a demo, Ian. You should try it.
Who paid off? Why has Nintendo paid off all the journalists to just like suck the teat of Nintendo? And that's
because Nintendo doesn't reward them.
It doesn't.
Nintendo, if anything, they'll pull their shit off of the internet.
Nintendo,
like, fuck you.
Nintendo hates everybody. Like, Nintendo don't give a fuck, and yet people love the fact. Maybe that's it. Maybe that's the fact.
Nintendo don't care about you.
Exactly.
Media.
Maybe that has to be what it is. Maybe you need to treat everyone like shit, like Nintendo does, and then like everyone will love you. Like,
are they just hoping that Nintendo will give them a star and say, "Yeah, cool, we like you"?
But isn't it kind of crazy, Jarrod? That's crazy though, right? Like, it seems. They don't like to have people over. They don't like to have, they don't like to share things with anybody. They hate their games to be on sale. They hate this. They hate that.
Like, only footage of inside a Nintendo company is from the 80s.
But everyone loves their dick, dude. They love to suck that dick. I don't know what the fuck it is.
Yeah.
It's the glaze,
it's weird,
man. It's not. It's all about the finish.
I don't know, dude. I don't know. It's gnarly. It's gnarly.
Finish.
I don't know. It's gnarly. I hate that about the video game, but I get it. I love fighting against that, and I enjoy the fact that it exists but like, it's so silly that like
I'm always surprised Nintendo as a company still exists.
They make the worst hardware.
It's funny that earlier I brought up Nintendo because of at least their current marketing strategy. They'll announce a game shortly before it comes out. They're not already talking about their new big 3D Mario. It's going to blow your minds. It's going to do all this shit and not show anything about it.
Unless they cancel the game.
They're going to show it like
it.
3 months before the game comes out.
For the most part.
Everybody's going to get excited. Media's going to spooge all over your screens. And then it'll come out and they'll ooze over it for a month and it'll be done.
Except Metro Prime 4.
Yeah. Well, that's they learned some lessons, I think. And since then, their media blitz has been different.
Another thing I wanted to talk about. Oh man, I just fucking lost my train of thought. What was it? Ian, talk to myself here.
Nintendo hatred.
No, it wasn't Nintendo hatred.
More Nintendo hatred.
There's
No,
plenty of that. Yeah.
There's plenty of that. No, I had another thing I wanted to say. We don't have to. I mean, we've been talking. We've been having a nice discussion. We don't have
It's
to.
been fun.
We don't really have
Been
to.
surprisingly positive until we got onto Nintendo and journalism.
I think it's all positive. I mean,
But even then, it wasn't like aggressive anger or anything like that.
I
Just
like having Nintendo
yeah.
around. I think that having Nintendo around is important. I don't understand why it's so popular. You know, the worst hardware.
It's the closed off Apple ecosystem.
It is a part. It is a part of an
It is
Apple.
really
It is kind of
the
that.
Apple
Yeah.
of video
It's the
gaming,
Apple of
isn't it?
Yeah.
the video game industry.
But with shitty hardware. I mean, at least Apple had good hardware for the most part.
It's still wild that you can play some of these games on the Switch. I've owned my Switch since like launch month, pretty much, and it still runs just fine. Just my fan vibrates a little weird.
I haven't turned mine
It's
on
super
in so
super
long.
wild that
I
this
don't even know why I haven't.
old I think it's Android based or some shit. Like your phone will tear itself apart in 3 years, but the Switch, I've had it for 6 or 7 years or some shit, and it's still running like big ass games like Bayonetta 3. You know, I'm playing this thing and it's
That's not a big
chugging.
ass game. It's a tiny ass game.
For the Switch that came out forever ago with a freaking cell phone chip in it. You know, it's
yeah, but
It's what happens when you don't have a great resolution screen.
yeah.
You make it smaller
doubt.
so the pixels
No
look
doubt.
better.
No doubt there. Yeah. Absolutely.
Well, anyone else? I had something, but I can't think of what it was. I had something that like, oh, this is a thing I like or dislike, but I can't remember. I had it on the tip of my tongue and I forgot. So if anyone else has anything else,
I think my one big disappointment so far is I've not really found anything on the PlayStation 5 that like has really justified me buying a PlayStation 5, if I'm honest.
Helldivers.
Helldivers is good, but I could play that on the PC, and I don't feel it's like it really pushes system requirements or anything like that. I've played quite a few games, and just nothing's really grabbed me this generation. And
I've played.
it all feels a bit old, and
Returnal. Like I couldn't
reheated
imagine.
and stale.
Yeah.
I get.
So-
Oh, this is kind of along what Dave's saying. I mean, I 100% agree that I feel like visual fidelity. I mean, it has gotten better, but I don't really care.
Yeah.
But I do 100% agree that loading has gotten better. So I do feel like
that
I
is
mean,
awesome, isn't it?
so I do feel like I upgraded just for that, and Elden Ring was awesome. I mean, I've played a lot of things.
Well,
I don't know,
the
but-
biggest problem with that is the gap is very small because most games are still releasing for PS4 and PS5.
Yeah.
And like the Xbox games or multi-platform games that also go to Xbox have to work on the Series S and all that. So like the specs have to be like super broadened on all these different spectrums to work on all these different
But
generations
they
of
manage
consoles.
it on the PC where
Yeah.
you've got like a shitty PC and a top line.
It'll
PC,
automatically
and you
detect all those settings.
can-
Yeah. I love
God
that.
of War though, Ragnarok looks way better than I think
Yeah.
than God of War 18. I mean, there's definitely visual, but like I feel like visual things is such a hard thing and such a
yeah.
it becomes a thing I'm less interested in.
It's becoming
think-
minimal because it's
I
been
think-
so great for so
Right.
long.
It becomes
so
something-
long at this point.
So I just felt like I just got the PS5. This is what I was gonna ask, like that kind of mediocre standpoint, like the whole like half step console thing, the PS4 Pro.
Yeah.
The other, like, why do we even need to do that? Like, what is the point in that? Why do they keep doing? Like, there's gonna be, I don't know.
Yeah.
That's for the people buying the brand new TVs and the brand new equipment and stuff like that to support it. Like I don't have variable refresh rate.
I feel
And
like
the next step up's going to be 8K TVs. I'm not going to buy an 8K TV.
no, but here's the other thing: you're never going to have an 8K TV. 8K is never
Exactly.
going to happen. It's never going to happen. Not in a time span of worthiness. I mean, 4K is. I mean, broadcast standard is still just HD. So like, I mean,
it'll be like a decade before I get a TV that'll do 120 hertz.
I mean,
you
it
know?
says our PlayStation 4 does 8K, but it barely won't do that.
Yeah.
So one thing in kind of relation to that though is one thing I miss, like when they used to release a console, they would release 10 to 20 games on the release date that really kind of, and they would try and at least have a couple of them that really showed off what the console could do. And I
Nintendo
really
64 started with 2 games.
True, but I mean Mario 64 and what was the other one?
Pilot Wings.
Those two games showed what that console could do.
Yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
whereas like nowadays it's just like
Here's the
seems like
next
the
sequel.
consoles release
Exactly.
and they've got like a up-resed version of something you can get on the previous generation, and it's just not exciting, you know.
This
It's like-
Call of Duty is going to be on the
But that's
PS4
what I'm saying,
and
like-
the PS5.
Like there's
and
that
it'll be
whole
up-res
like
for
that
PS5
becomes less
Pro.
interesting. Like the whole visual fidelity, it is becoming more of a PC thing.
Yeah.
But like also visuals aren't that impressive to a lot of us
No.
anymore. You know.
because they've
So, like-
become
Yeah.
so good.
So
I
then
mean, it
that's
really
where
is.
it becomes like the type of game is more important to me.
Yeah.
But the type of game doesn't necessarily have to be high visual. So it becomes this really weird thing to like, what do I support? Like, the reason I don't like to play things on PS4 is because the loading time sucks. So at least I have the loading time on PS5 is like my PC.
Yes.
So
I
that's
do
kind
like
of
the
that's
look.
kind of that. So you're looking at different things. You know, the haptic feedback.
Could you imagine being a developer at this point? You're building a game likely for a PC. You're building it with the PS5 in mind, but then you have to downgrade it for PS4 and Xbox Series S.
No one
Xbox.
says you have
There's
to
so
release it on
much, so many
PS4.
different waves they have to worry about,
I just
and it's,
I mean,
it's just wild.
realistically, who's buying PS4 games right now?
I mean, I'll buy.
I
'em-
couldn't
I'll buy
imagine
'em
how many
cheap.
PS4s are still being used.
I'll buy them cheap.
There's a difference between them being used and people buying $70 PS4.
Oh, I don't think
Yeah.
anyone's buying a
Well, yeah,
$70
exactly.
PS4 game.
So it's
Mhm.
like,
But I will buy a cheap ass PS4 game for sure. Still,
Yeah.
just
Yeah, I bet that used PS4 market's hot right now. No doubt.
but you know what I'm saying? It's like if you're producing it, it's kind of like where Cyberpunk got a lot of flack because they tried to develop that game for the PS4, and really they should have just abandoned it.
But how many of
and
you actually play video games on your PS4 anymore?
Mine's just a media streaming box.
Okay,
It's
so I
Amazon
still
and
play-
Netflix.
Hooked
I
up
still
for my daughter
play-
to play Minecraft.
I still
on.
play my PS4 quite a bit.
Yeah, mine's
And
on all the time.
The
yeah.
loading is obnoxious
Yeah, pretty
comparatively.
exponential. It's,
And I think
annoying.
that is maybe the visual. I mean, the visuals are better technically. I mean,
Yeah.
they are actually better. Even if you don't really, if you don't not really faced with it all the time, they are better. But you're right. That initial, it's like, oh, this looks fine. Looks better. The PS5 looks better. But they are way better in comparison. And then the load times. So it is a better
Yes.
console. It's just
it's
not
as
like it was.
drastically-
It's not like it's
Well-
not PS2 to PS3. It's never going to
My-
be
my
PS2
example-
to PS3 ever again. You know, it's
My
never going to be
example is
that.
playing the Destiny 1 beta on PS3 and
Oh,
then
yeah.
going to PS4, and you're
Oh,
like,
sure.
whoa.
Yeah, the frame
You
rate,
know,
the
like,
look.
you
Yeah,
could
100%.
really tell.
Yeah, oh yeah, 100%.
I have to say the
Mhm.
big difference for me was when I put a 2 terabyte drive in my PlayStation 5. That was when I stopped using my PlayStation 4. Because
Mhm.
before that, you know, there are a couple of games that we would play every once in a while online that are a couple of 100 megabytes. And it's like, I just couldn't store all the games I wanted to play on my PlayStation 5. So I would go back to the PlayStation 4 if we were playing Fortnite, for example, or
Mhm.
something like that, or PUBG. And, you know, I'd have those on there just because I couldn't fit any game. You know, I think that was one of the weak points of the PlayStation 5 was
Hard
one of its
drive
strong
space.
points is how easy it is to upgrade, but one of its weak
Well, you
points
should-
is how little
I feel-
memory it comes with.
You should reinstall Fortnite only because the old version of Fortnite was on the old engine. I feel like the last time we played with you, so like the new version of
Yeah.
Fortnite is crazy. But then also, if you hadn't heard the update, like the new
Rock Band thing.
Rock Band Fortnite, because that's where Rock Band is now. It does. It supports the guitar controller now.
Oh, nice.
You can.
And there's also the latest game made by the Rocket League team.
Yeah, the Rocket Racing, but it's not Rocket League. It's Rocket. But like Fortnite
It's a racing
is crazy.
game.
No, I mean
Lego.
Now I've
Lego
got my, now I've got a 2 terabyte hard drive in the PlayStation.
Yeah.
It's fine. That's really what it needed. The 600 and something megabytes that it came with were really just not enough. Because if
it came with a terabyte that is basically knocked down to like 890.
800 and some
890 or
gigabytes.
something like that.
Yeah, whatever.
The OS
whatever
is so
it was,
big.
though.
Yeah.
By the time you had like
It works
Call of
fine for me,
Duty
dude.
on there.
Oh, fuck Call of Duty. I deleted Call of Duty. You saw Call of Duty
that's
on
wild.
that?
I have like 3 games on my console right now. That's one of my complaints. But
Yeah.
it's understandable that I have multiple games that are like 150 gigabytes. You know, it's wild.
That's what I'm saying.
It's a huge file sizes, but 4K,
I have 6 games
how
on
big
my.
these
I think
games
I
are.
think I have 6 games, and I still have 200 gigabytes free. Like,
Yeah.
I think that's what I'm saying is it's like so yeah, it had a terabyte on it, but by the time you had your operating system, it was 667 gigabytes was what
no,
was
after
available.
no, I think it's 890
Nope.
after the.
825 was the standard drive built in, and by the time you had the
Oh, really?
operating system, it's 667.
I have 200 free on mine, so I don't know what you guys
So-
what you guys are playing or what you guys are not playing.
I
mean,
I there's a lot of stuff I want to play, so it's just
if
sitting
you had
on my
Destiny
console.
on there, I think Destiny's what 150.
No.
Yeah, I got
now?
D2 on my system.
I do not have Destiny. That's a waste of space. Is what Destiny is.
Anyway, 6 it doesn't. We can argue about which games, but 6 games on your system. You've got the game you're playing. You've got the game you're playing with your friends, and then you've got maybe 4.
Helldivers
other games
only
that
is 4 gigs.
Drop into.
I think
you
the
drop
biggest
into
game
once
on
in a
my
while.
system is Diablo 4 at like 100 and something.
Yep, that's on my system too. I
That's the
haven't
only
touched it
big. That's
for
the only
2
big
months.
game I have
3
on my
months.
system. I have like 200 gigs free.
Yeah, so if you've got like you can get on the standard storage, you can get maybe 5 Diablos, which isn't much really when you think about it.
Yeah, but there's not a lot of Diablos. I mean, I'm not playing Call of Duty. That game.
I'm not saying Call of Duty. I'm just saying it's like if Diablo is the size of game that you've got on there, you can have 5 games of that size or 6 games of that size.
Here's the other thing.
I mean,
Okay,
now-
so here's the
Gran-
thing, man.
Gran
Like
Turismo, that's a
the size
biggie.
of games is kind of ridiculous, but like some of those games,
Some
like
big
Call of
texture
Duty, is
packs.
like, why do I have to download the whole
Oh,
Call
yeah.
of Duty just to
Yeah, you have to
play
download all the
fucking
multiplayer maps.
Warzone free? Or, like, let us all the cart some of this shit off of my shit. Like,
Yeah, why do I have to have all this stuff?
Yeah.
So Call of Duty, I'm just looking up Modern Warfare.
they don't have a
3,
campaign anymore, so it's like.
But
I
they
don't
do.
know.
240.
they have
Nobody talks about it
multiplayer
anymore.
and campaign, and yet you have to download all of it with fucking free Warzone. Sorry, Dave.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. That's
So-
for when Warzone first came out, I downloaded that. It's like massive. I played it twice and deleted it.
Yeah,
you
so like Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 is 200 something gigabytes.
Ooh.
Warzone on Windows is 175. I mean, it's just like, so I suppose what it comes down to is what Ian was saying, and it's like one of the things we don't like is the size of modern games, like from a just sprawling hard drive. Because Ian's got gigabit internet, but even then, if it's 200 gig game, it takes a while.
It's still going to take some time, but like,
Yeah.
So,
but like,
so
why
it's
can't it
funny.
be all a la carte? Like, why can't I do like no multiplayer, no like? Can I
Why
just
can't I
get?
just just download the single player because that's what I want to play right now.
So it's funny. I'm thinking about this. We're all a bunch of olds when it comes to gaming and stuff like that. And we're talking about hard drive space and how much of a pain that is. And like we remember how easy it was just to swap carts or plop a disc in or whatever. But even with all that ease back in the day, I still prefer just having a digital game on my system. I don't have to get up and swap the disc and
They
all
were
that
called
shit. I could
hard
just load
drives.
the game. Oh, floppies, hearing that grinding of that disc drive,
This is
installing
720
multiple
kilobytes.
floppies.
Yeah.
Yeah, 1.44 megabytes. Yeah,
And then Ian's going older school.
an Atari cartridge. I got an Odyssey behind me. It's simple. You just turn the system on. Boom. But like,
I am-
cassette player.
I am with
yeah,
Jarrod.
that's right. I was
do
watching
like-
you try to get a game to run.
I
loading
know
on that
Dave
freaking
is
thing.
the textile man. I am
Yeah.
the digital future. I do enjoy I delete and install games constantly, but I have fast internet. But yeah, I do like the digital future. I wasn't really going
I'm
to
probably
like
joining you on the dark side, Ian. I mean, I'm moving definitely towards it.
I mean
I
holding
buy
on to all
games
this
I know I'm
shit
gonna play
kind
multiplayer
of sucks.
a lot.
It's like, oh, I have all this stuff. What am it's nice to have and show off, but it's like I don't play it. It's just a thing.
It's
I
a
have.
collection.
It's a
That's it.
collection.
It's a collection.
Yeah, I feel like the
I
PlayStation
often
5
buy
is my
discs.
last collection.
Like I was able to Dave currently has Final Fantasy 16, which he finished. I don't know if he posted it in the Discord group, but he
I
finished
don't
it,
think I did,
and he would have never played it had I bought it digital. He would absolutely have never
Yeah.
played Final Fantasy
There is
16
something to
had
be
I bought
said
it
for that.
digitally.
It's like that's a game I would have never, even if it was $10, $15, I would have never probably,
And that's
that's the
something that sucks about console is
Right,
like
100%.
Steam. You can let someone borrow
the
a game.
Right.
Essentially, or access your library, and one person can play it at a time.
It'd be nice if we could gift or give or borrow
Yeah.
or something, some
Yeah.
kind of mechanic, but probably never.
Yeah, because
well-
I mean, there's been a number of games over our time that like
Well,
people
when
have
you
loaned me, and I've been like, whoa, like Ghost of Tsushima, Control,
but when you
Death
look at
Stranding.
when you look at those sales and you see how fast those games drop down to like
Yeah.
$10, it's like
Unless it's Nintendo,
unless it's see Nintendo
Yeah.
never because Nintendo give a fuck.
because it's the Apple
like-
of video
But
games.
they are so willing to fastly. That's why you kind of have to just hold off on games because it's going to
They're
be
their
so
own worst
cheap.
enemy, yeah.
Yeah, there's
Yeah,
going to
they
be so
are.
cheap. It's like if we don't buy it, it'll be cheap.
Or free on PS Plus.
Exactly. So it's like, at what point do they learn to make good games, or stop making games, or like they become a collective that they? That's the thing. Are we being bred to think that there's too many games and like there's like, or do we just need to like not buy these games, make everything shrink down again to where there's like a few games released a month, and then it becomes important again? Like
Well,
they're
yeah,
saying
'cause,
like,
like-
they're telling us, the industry, the games journalism people is like, oh no, blah 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 this and blah 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 that. But maybe if we just like sat off on it as consumers, everything would shrink down back like it was back in the day, and then we'd be back right where we started. We wouldn't have that issue. So maybe it's not a big a deal. Maybe we shouldn't worry about it. We shouldn't care about it. We should just like relax,
I think it'll
save
be
our money,
Interesting to see what the next couple of years do, because interest rates have gone up. And I mean, if
Well-
a game
Oh, yeah,
costs millions of dollars to produce, that's money that you've got to borrow to pay all these people until you can release the game and get paid. And
Well, the
we've lived in a time where interest rates were next to zero, so money was free.
Yeah.
So there was no real, as long as you made back what you paid, you paid the people, you were doing all right.
But if they scale back and only the great games came to the top, we'd be back in like a limited time, but good game, kind of like the olden days. Like, I feel like, stop blaming us. Stop saying like this is maybe, that's again game journalism being the problem. Like, just fucking relax. Sit down. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, let people enjoy the hobby. But what I'm most interested to see at this point, because games are getting more expensive and all that stuff, is how sustainable Game Pass is going to be. Because like I canceled mine. I'll re-up for a game for my $17 to play the new game and then I'll cancel it after I'm done.
I don't think
You know,
I
so
don't think
it's-
Game Pass is sustainable. Ultimately,
Yeah, I'm interested to see how long they keep it up, or if they do well, if they're doing well enough. I mean, they have Activision. Like, I think Diablo 4 is on Game Pass now.
yeah, but like
You
if
know,
game
it's like
prices
big
keep
games are
going
coming
up,
out on it.
people are not buying games new, and you
Yeah,
just have Microsoft
it'll be interesting
shoveling
to
out
see.
money to developers to produce games at full price to be free on their service, and no one's buying. They can't sustain that. I don't.
It'll be the same thing that Netflix and Apple and all the streaming services have. You know, we've had a golden age of TV where people were just dumping money into any old property, and now that's coming to an end because money costs money. And
Or there'll be ads in games. Like,
Yeah.
accidentally, quote, was an ad in Assassin's Creed.
Oh right.
Yeah, accidented. It was an accident. That sounds like a really difficult thing to program that
It wasn't an
accidentally showed up.
accident. It was a. I mean, it was an accident that it went live, but they programmed it in just to see how it worked. And
It
then
was
went live.
absolutely programmed. That cost
It was
a lot
done
of
on
money to
pur-
program in.
It was done on purpose. It wasn't supposed to
Yes.
go into the game.
Yeah, which is going to be the reality
Oh,
in
sure.
the future. It's absolutely
it's already
there's
in
going
there.
to be tons of ads.
It's already in there technically. I mean, if you look at racing games and
Yes.
sports games, that shit already happens technically.
well,
I mean, it's
yeah,
not.
but that's like a permanent thing. I'm talking like straight up ads, billboards changing,
Sure.
ads and loading
Sure.
screens,
Sure.
fucking everywhere. They're going to be just as bad as a website.
I think the only like you know, we come back to the price of games and stuff, but I probably buy about as many games as I did when I was a teenager per month or whatever per year.
Yeah.
You know, the price might have changed, but there's only so many games I can play, and I think the only reason that the video game industry has expanded is I can't imagine when I was that age, my dad would be my age now, and I can't imagine there'd be many of his friends playing video games, if you know what I mean. So the market's expanded, but the fact of the matter is there's only so many games you can play.
It's a drug. They got us hooked
Yeah.
at a young age, and we never left.
Yeah, it pops that
It's-
dopamine
it's
in your
what
brain
happened.
and
and
you
then
want it.
and then we share it with our kids if you have kids, and the kids,
Mhm.
you know, it just, you know,
They absorb it. Or
if
they
it
don't.
was a sucky thing that we all hated, we never would have fed off of it. But somehow we all did. We all got into it, and like this is how this shit happens right here. It's
Yeah.
like you know,
people
it's
build
like-
communities around it. You know, it's
This
exactly
shit happens.
right. It's like you have all
baby.
this.
That's
like-
how this happens.
Right. It's like
Yeah.
if I wasn't a kid into video games, even if video games weren't the thing I was super into, I still liked them. At some point, it's like it became the thing that anyway.
But then, had you and Dave not started game night,
That's also
would you
true.
still be in video games?
That's another thing. I don't know. That's the true thing. If we were
I
still doing this
probably would have
fucking
been, 'cause
podcast, I don't know, right? Because we used to drive around and actually go buy shit on video game night too.
Yeah.
I miss Game Crazy. Game Crazy.
Yeah,
was
Game
good
Crazy
stuff.
was the best. Yeah, I loved it.
Yeah.
I missed that.
It's this fucking thing's fault. Like if I had never bought this
Yeah.
thing
Yeah.
from Game
That's
Crazy,
your Shadow
I probably
the Hedgehog.
never would. I probably wouldn't be in
limited
video
edition
games anymore.
controller.
Probably not be in video games.
Yeah, it's,
I have to say, I probably would be there. Maybe not the modern ones, but you know, I look around me and I've got at least 5 or 6 old computers knocking around, and then
Yeah.
probably same again game consoles. So
I mean, it's interesting. Like if Dave and I never met, maybe not. Maybe I'd still have some video games, kind of. But like I feel like
Yeah, a little bit.
once game night started, we just started like it just blew up all this stuff.
yeah,
gaming as a community is a lot more fun than doing.
And then
just
you meet
like,
friends
a
like
game.
Jarrod, and you like, oh, you like these, video games, and then it just became this
Yeah.
thing. But like if I had just bought my PS2 and had my video games I enjoyed and stuff, and then kind of, I don't know how deep into it I would have gotten, really.
Mhm.
yeah. I feel like
It's all you guys. It's all your fuckers'
You'd
fault.
be the annual like,
you
Metal
guys.
Gear guy. Like, oh, a new Metal Gear game. Oh, they're not making Metal Gear anymore. I guess I'm out.
I don't know.
Well, any more for any more?
I've enjoyed it.
No, I
I've
think
enjoyed
we've
it.
gone on
I enjoy
long
video
enough.
games. Yeah, we've talked this.
Yeah,
Let's
we love
man, we've
games.
really gone it. Let's do some couch co-optionals really quick.
Well, are we? Yeah.
Jarrod, go. Tell us.
Well, I'm still watching X-Men '97,
Ooh,
and
so good.
it's way better than I anticipated. That show is doing really, really good, cool things. It's like I remember loving the show as a kid,
Right.
but I don't remember ever being so like.
No.
There's
the
shit
sto-
happening.
The story,
There really
the
is.
stories are better, and the pace is faster. It's way more adult and intense.
It's more
like,
comic book.
It's yes, but it's also way more intense. It's just way more.
Yeah.
It's like if you go back and watch those original episodes, it's so slow and weird.
Yeah, there's nothing really happening.
But this is
every
like,
episode, there's shit going down.
Yeah, it's just like
And it's awesome.
yeah, they know that their audience is adults, not kids. So
Yeah, no doubt. It's
funny.
not on Saturday morning cartoons, you know.
right, 100%.
Yeah, it's legit. It's awesome.
All right,
Yeah.
Dave.
So that's what I wanted to talk about.
What you got, Dave?
I don't have much. I'm still watching Fallout, still playing the games I've
Me
been
too.
playing the last week. It's kind of,
I got one more episode.
and I've been watching The Prisoner. I know I've probably mentioned that before, so I'm kind of in between right now on
Right.
a bunch of stuff. You know,
Cool.
mid-season, not blues because that implies I'm not enjoying it. It's just, you know, I'm watching Fallout with my son, and so. He only really wants to do one, maybe 2 episodes every so often. So
Gotcha.
Yeah. I get that.
taking
Cool.
a while to get through it.
Well, just to follow off on Fallout really quickly, dude, Brendan and I finally finished it. Fucking awesome. Yeah. So I really enjoyed it. I can't wait for the second season to see where it goes. I've also been watching. So on Netflix, there's this show called IndyCar, Road to Indy or something. It's kind of like Drive to Survive, but with IndyCar. But
like the one they did with the NASCAR as well.
Yeah, kind of like that one. But I think
yeah.
it's better than the NASCAR one because it has David Letterman and.
Yeah.
Anyway, IndyCar just seems gnarly compared to everything else. It's just like, it's the cars. Arrow's not as good. Fucking fast is crazy, and just the wrecks are fucking gnarly. I get why Formula One drivers don't want to drive IndyCar because they just seem like just like rockets with no control. I don't know, but it's fun to watch. So I watched that. I've enjoyed that. I finished that actually. And I enjoyed it. I don't think there'll be a second season. I think it's just a one-off. Because it's called the Road to Indy or something. So they basically just kind of showcasing because the Indy 500 is like a race in the middle of the season. It's not the whole season. It's like,
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
it's anyway.
it's
so
just the most famous race of the series.
So I've been
yeah.
getting really into racing in general. So I did like the NASCAR one you talked about, Dave, and I mean I watched a bunch. Michael Jordan's team finally won their first race. I saw that last week, which was super cool. I don't know. Michael Jordan
That's neat.
being an owner of a NASCAR team is fucking crazy. I don't know.
Huh.
That's the cool thing about the NASCAR thing you should watch because like Michael Jordan's a part of this.
Yeah, Team 24 is it?
23 and 11
23.
or 20 something like
Yeah.
that.
23-11, yeah.
Because
that
like
sounds about right.
Denny Hamlin, who is a race car driver in NASCAR, who races for a different team, owns
But
a
starts his
team
own
in
team.
NASCAR with
And
Michael
is
Jordan.
racing against
It's
him,
fucking
yeah.
crazy. Anyway, so he roots for other team, but while racing against his team.
Huh.
Fucking crazy. Anyway,
Yeah.
super
Yeah,
cool.
He just loves it.
And he's a
Yeah,
great
that's
race car
awesome.
driver. But he's also anyway.
Michael Jordan?
No, not Michael Jordan. The
Like,
co-owner of the team
Okay.
is a race
he
car
formed this
driver.
Team with
Cool.
like a race
Denny
car
Hamlin,
driver.
I don't know, something like that. Anyway,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
it's
Denny
crazy. Not only that, but like then you learn that NASCAR doesn't only drive around ovals anymore because of all the fucking harsh criticism. They actually do street circuits now, so they are doing multiple
cool.
turns now. So like,
What is the
Wow.
terminology they use for that though? It cracks me up.
Oh, it used
It's
to be
like,
just left turns.
it's just no, but they're like it's street circuit, or
Oh,
they couch it and it's more
I don't know what it's
difficult.
called, but it's like you can see how none of them know how to drive. Like you watch those races and like none of them know how to drive like the other guy, like the Formula
They crash
One
on
and
every
the,
right turn.
No, they just can't turn. It's like they carry too much speed into the corners and they just like fly off into the. Anyway,
yeah, they go fast as hell.
it's funny.
They're not used to a corner where it like
turn like this. And
Well, then they get used to a
like
certain
sharper as
taper
you
of the
go
road.
down.
You know,
It's
those
funny.
big ramps.
It's really-
like,
But not only
curving
that,
around the
but there's
road.
like fucking a shit ton of cars. Like F1 is like what, 10, 12 cars? I think Indy is like 20, and then you get into like fucking IndyCar or NASCAR, and it's like 30 or something. It's like crazy amount of
and
cars.
they're big cars as well.
And
It's
they're
not
big
like-
ass cars. Anyway, so I'm into that. Anyway, so Indy, I think, is Road to Indy. Anyway, and then I've watched a lot of stuff that I want to recommend. I watched the Steve Martin documentary on Disney.
Oh, I've heard that.
Or Apple. Apple. Actually, I was pretty let down by it. It's good. It's all right. If you like Steve Martin, I feel like it's two separate episodes that are an hour and a half each. I feel like if it was 1 2-hour film, it'd be better. It's just kind of like bloated in my opinion. And then I started watching, and I'm halfway through the Bon Jovi documentary on Hulu. And actually, I think that's a really good documentary. I mean, I'm not a huge Bon Jovi fan, but I feel like it's a great documentary. The way it's produced, they have a lot of content, and the different type of content is really interesting. So, I'm watching that. So
cool.
I do watch some stuff, and I just feel like a good editor would have made this.
Yeah, that's how I felt about the Steve Martin thing. Like, I just feel like I was so bored on the first one, and then the second one's interesting, but then it's like you're just not saying anything important.
This isn't bad. It just needs...
Just put it together, cut a bunch of shit out, and make it interesting. And, like, is this, like, just Hulu looking for time? Or Disney? Or Apple, I guess. Apple is just looking for, like, hey, just make some content and give us content hours.
You
so
actually
people...
only had an hour and a half of actual content. You had, like, 10 hours of film.
Right.
And you
but I feel like, hey, if you just keep our watchers engaged for an hour and a half on each episode, that's greater somehow. I don't know. I feel like it could have been a really tight 2 hours film, but it's just, I don't know. I felt let down.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's kind of where I mean, I love Steve Martin. I'm a really big Steve Martin fan, and so I was just kind of like, man.
Yeah, some good stuff.
Anyway, that's where we're at. All right, who's got the trivia?
I got it. I'm doing this time. I haven't done it in a while, but it's back of the box trivia of a game that I randomly grabbed out of my box of games.
Zelda.
Hold on a second, Jarrod. We have a someone finally popped into the
oh, hello.
It's an awful person. It must be one of these toxic males we hear so much about. His name is OG Butt Stuff. So clearly toxic male.
Oh, someone had to start it.
I also take too much speed. That's his first comment. His next comment. Yeah, it could be, but it also could have been about the old nose candy, which I'm
Speed was a great movie. I love that with Keanu Reeves. Yeah.
I like my experience with women like NASCAR going around the outside. He's making jokes, guys.
Ian, are you typing as another person?
No, it's if you go to the Twitch right now, you can see these original comments by OG Butt Stuff.
Okay.
And his next comment is LA sidewalks are filled with tents. That was not so good. That's like, get some new material, bud. Anyway, thank you, OG Butt Stuff.
Yeah, comments and things.
Please like and subscribe. Follow us on Twitch.tv.
Yeah,
he's still here. He's still in the room. He's not paying attention because he's probably a bot from Russia. But
he's done. Yeah.
All right, Jarrod. What's our trivia for tonight?
All right, it's the back of the box of a PS1 game. I don't know if either of you played it, but it's one of my favorites. That's the reason I still have it.
All
Blank
right.
Is the lightning quick, ultra intense, 100% addictive arcade puzzler that's gonna grab you and never let go as the balls descend. You're gonna need sharp eyes. I had to pause. You're gonna need sharp eyes and quick reflexes to match 3 or more balls and pop them fast. Insane 2-player action
Puzzle
pits
bubble?
you against an opponent in a race to bust or be busted.
Yeah. Oh, Bust a Move 2.
Yes.
Whoa, Dave! Busting those
It is.
balls.
It has the shittiest cover art. So stupid.
What is
Wow,
going
that is-
on there?
What the fuck is
It's
that?
so addictive.
How do you know this
It
game,
should
Dave?
be
Have you
illegal.
played this?
I've played Bust a Move. Yeah.
I love Bust a Move.
It was like I was thinking Puzzle Bobble, and then like when you said that, I'm like, oh, it's
I
gotta be
always
Move.
thought that game should just be called Puzzle Bobble.
God,
Yeah.
I just played real games when I was a kid.
And then I knew it was number 2 because I think Bust a Move, the first one, came out on something else, didn't it?
Acclaim.
Yeah, I think so. But Acclaim has been gone. Taito still makes games, but I think Taito's still around. Don't they do the
Wow.
Bomberman games?
I just impressed myself that I actually even.
Yeah, congratulations, Dave.
Yeah.
You win a round of applause. Yeah, good job, Dave. Yeah.
Apparently, you can get it on the Switch if you want to play it.
This
They have
docking
Bust a
is
Move
for
4,
you.
and it's like multiplayer, like 4 players. And I want to, but it's really expensive because it's a Nintendo exclusive.
I always liked. I think part of it is I always liked the Bubble Bobble games. And
I love Bubble Bobble.
Yeah, you did.
yeah.
Dun, dun,
And
dun,
so,
dun, 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 dun,
yeah,
dun,
Bust a
dun,
Move is
dun,
like-
dun, 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 dun,
Oh, OG Butt Stuff is still in the group. He said, "I just riff off
Love
what
that
you
shit.
what you guys are talking about." And
Yeah, baby.
Bust a Move was great.
Bust a Move was great. Yes, I agree. It's
It's
so
the
addictive.
OG
It should be
Bust Stuff.
illegal.
OG Butt Stuff.
I think I even still have. I used to. There's codes you could put in that unlock all the characters and levels and all that stuff. Because for some reason on your one memory card slot, it did not save that information.
I can't believe you still have that game.
Yeah, I think I can. Can you play that stuff on PS4? I don't remember if you can play PS1 discs in it or not.
No.
There's an easy way to find
No,
that
you can do
out.
streaming stuff on PS4, but it's
Okay.
the PS3.
Yeah, darn.
PS3 will play a PS1 game.
Yeah, I've thought of picking up a PS3 again, but I don't want to spend $100 and some on a PS3.
How much would you want to spend on one?
You have an extra, don't you? Fucker. You're an asshole.
Do you need a PS2 or a PS1?
Oh, yeah. Whatever would play a PS1 game. I only have one game. I don't want to spend a whole bunch of
Yeah,
money
but don't
on
you
one
want a
game.
PS3 that plays also? Don't you want a PS3 that plays PS1 games and PS3 games?
Well, I mean, I have a whole bunch of PS3 digital games that I bought a long time ago, and all the free ones I got through PS Plus. So it'd be kind of fun to own. I don't know. That's not a thing to talk about on the podcast, man.
All right. Well, we should get out of here.
Yeah.
Well, it's been a fun episode with the Trinity here. I want to thank Jarrod and Dave for joining me here on the couch
You're
tonight. I think we had a good
Of
time. I think it was a fun
course.
episode. Like kind of having an actual topic and talking tonight. I think that
It was
was
fun.
fun.
Yeah. It was good.
Stop doing those fucking top 3 lists, right?
Yeah, top threes are fun. I like top threes.
I think we do them too much, and I feel like we need to do topics.
Topics
Yeah.
are great. Yes.
A little more talky. Anyway,
Let's walkie.
let's walkie.
I enjoyed not having to do a whole bunch of research.
Yeah, right. You can find us on all the podcasting platforms. You can find us on youtube.com/milkmanpictures. You can find us streaming live on twitch.tv/the Couch Co-op Show like we are right now. For Couch Co-op, I'm Ian, reminding you to please be excellent to each other. Wild stallions.
Still waiting for Metroid Prime 4.